Something like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and take a moment out to hit that like button, because this is where you're going to find the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is. And you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well. But what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button. And everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks. Today we're going to be dealing with a very interesting subject. Technically could have ramifications for, honestly, could have ramifications across the country, depending on how things go. But it definitely will have some ramifications for the Washington, D.C. area. It's going to have some ramifications for that. We're dealing with Donald Trump's show of force in D.C. It's a little dicey. Okay. There are some issues that people are complaining about or supporting, depending upon how you think about Donald Trump's show of force in DC right now. So it is getting a little bit dicey. But before we go in too far into this, I got to give credit where credit is due. We got people that support this fine channel, y'all. And of course, the financial contributions cannot be said enough. You know, I can't say enough good things about these people who actually support this channel financially, because, of course, we need folks like that. They help make this engine run, and I can't do things the same way without these folks. So shout out to everyone who's been a financial contributor. I do love and appreciate everybody who gives the channel views. I love and appreciate everyone who gives the channel a like button, especially. I don't know why some folks are so stingy about their like button. And also people who leave comments, because all of it does help. You know, and you can do it anytime. It always helps, no matter how old the video is. But we got to give special thanks for those of us who participate financially. And today I got to give a shout out to my main man, No Placeholder. He is the sponsor of today's stream. Shout out to No Placeholder. Been a great supporter for a good period of time. I appreciate you big time, my brother. Appreciate you big time. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And let me give some shout outs to some of the first people to check in this morning, because it's always great that when you start a show that you see a few people checking in. And, can't say enough about those folks, but y'all know how it goes over at this channel, because you should have been around here long enough to see what's popping. There can only be one. Okay. The covenant spot every day is available. All you got to do is be here. But shout out to my main man, Chef Mike's Roundtable. The pitmaster himself is the Highlander of today's stream. So shout out to you, Chef. Shout out to you, Chef. Thank you for all that you do around here. Chef helps us keep some order around this place, y'all. So he's a VIP. He's a very important person. So y'all move to the side when Chef coming around, okay? Just move a little to the side when Chef come around. But shout out to you, Chef, and shout out to the pit crew. Shout out to Sarah B. Hey, Sarah. Glad to see you in the building. Glad to see you in the building. Blessed the community is here. Good to see you. Good to see you. Shout out to my main man, Mr. Shug to you. He is in the building. We got Tunnel Runner in the house as well. Floyd Thompson is here. Yay. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Trail Bentley is in the building representing. Hashtag Long Live Habitual Line Steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the Wilderness. Hashtag Dignity Over Vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's baby. And hashtag Hell Hydra. We got Tunnel Runner here. Randall Robinson is in the chat. What's going on, Randall? Good to see you. Good to see you. We got Superstar Jay Quick in the building as well. Nice sometimes is also here. Great to see you again, my brother. Great to see you. Shaka Nulu is pulled up a seat at the cool table. Good to have you. Afro Merchant is checking in, and we got Wide Skinner Man Cave in the building. Glad to see you all. Glad to see you all, y'all. And we are going to be looking at what's going on in the nation's capital, y'all. D.C., y'all. Washington, D.C. Now, y'all keep in mind, D.C. is a little bit different than other places because it is the nation's capital. It is not quite a state. It is a non-state place because, when they were setting up the Constitution, they didn't want to get whoever was in control or the control center of America. They didn't want to give that state no particular extra power. So D.C. is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. Okay. Now, this is the thing. Crime is a thing even in DC. There's no city, in this country that you really gonna have too much where it's just no crime at all. Okay. So DC is a city with some crime, but DC is also a place where very important things happen. Okay. Very important things happen. So it's an interesting thing to look at. Now, DC does have police, and the city controls their police. Now, in specific, in certain information, hold on, y'all. Let me see what Chef Mike is saying. Okay, he says at the Roger Report Live, quick alert: if you happen to be in the path of Aaron, please listen to all the warnings. She ain't playing. Went from a category 2 to a category 5 within hours. All right, y'all. If you are on, and shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. If you are in the path of Aaron, y'all, now, and I appreciate y'all for listening to the Roger Report Live, but listen as you getting out the way, okay? Please listen as you're getting out the way. That's what I'm gonna say about that. Or you could catch me on the replay. I definitely appreciate the support, but do not get caught up in the category 5 because you was listening to the Rise Report. We'll catch you another day. Okay, serious. We got priorities, y'all. Priorities. Okay, so make sure you are out of the way. Shout out to Chef Mike for that. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. All right. Now we have a different type of hurricane going on in DC. We have the police in DC, and according to reports, the police are understaffed, as they say. They say they're understaffed. Okay, they got about 3,500 officers there, if my memory is correct. But they're saying that they're unstaffed right now. They need some help. Now, Donald Trump has issued some troops to go over to DC. Now, the thing about this is it can be a very touchy subject because does the police get to run themselves in DC, or do they have to fall under federal jurisdiction? Now, there are certain things available where if the president does declare an emergency, he can take certain powers in the DC area. That is a real thing. That's a real thing. Now, they're saying at this particular point, Donald Trump is using some emergency power, or he's setting up to use some emergency power later on down the road to try to make his presence felt in DC. Now, as I was looking into this story, it looks like the reason that all this really started because there was some white guy, okay? He was with, you know, he was with now his name is Elon Musk and that Doge department, okay? And that Doge department, okay? You know, shout out to Chef Mike's roundtable. He says black folks in DC heard the Roger for Lies words of wisdom. Listen as you get out the way. Exactly, my brother. If you in DC, you definitely you get out the way. It's a little trouble up there. It's a little trouble. So you listen as you get out the way. Real talk. But you know, there's issues about police power. Who should have it? Is this really an emergency going on, or is this just a response because some white guy who was a part of Doge ended up getting carjacked? And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You got a white guy who's a part of Doge. Now we heard all kinds of stuff about Elon Musk and Donald Trump when he first got into office on his second term. All right. And we saw, you know, a little controversy with that. Elon decided to dip for a while. So, you know, we're going to see how things go. But when it comes down to it, some guy was carjacked. Now, they're saying carjacking is somewhat of an issue. The carjacking was done by some young people. There's a claim that minors were involved. Now, as I was listening to certain stuff, they said it was only like 16 carjackings in DC last year. So is this super major problem that is being made out to be? Well, I guess that depends on what seat you in when the carjacking go down. Now, if you looking at somebody else get carjacked, I guess it ain't that big a deal. But if you the person in the seat when the carjacking took place, then now that's a different type of deal. Now, of course, they did this report, and this staffer from Doge, they showed a picture of him, but for some reason, they weren't able to say where the picture came from. Now, they said Donald Trump also posted this picture, but they don't know exactly where the picture came from. The white guy looks a little beat up. Okay, he look a little beat up. I'm gonna keep it real. He looks a little beat up. I see blood on his face or whatever. He got some blood on his chest area, stomach area. He got blood on his pants. So if this was his own blood because he took a whooping, I don't know, y'all. That's all I can say. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Because if he took a whooping and left that type of blood, I mean, well, you never know when they took the picture exactly. But what I would expect, and I'm not saying it's a fake picture, y'all. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I don't really see the signs of swelling or anything like that from this particular picture. I don't know. I don't know. Was this at this particular thing? He's sitting there with this white skin, and I don't see no purple. I don't see no blue. it don't look like he got jumped. That's what I'm saying. Based on the blood, look like he got jumped. Based on the way his body looks, it don't look like he got jumped. So I don't know. Okay. But I do know he is a white man in America. Okay. He's a white man in America. He'll be fine. That's what I do know. He's a white man in America. He will be fine. Is it really that big a deal? Now, this is the thing, y'all. Everybody can say, well, it's a big deal when I get jumped on. I mean, when do we really hear reports of white people getting jumped? So maybe this happened at the carjacking. Maybe it didn't. All I'm going to say is, if it was a carjacking, why all this happened? Are we suggesting that he got jumped by 38 people and it took 42 people to get him out the car? And what, 16 people beat up on him? I mean, what kind of carjacking was this? So shout out to Afro Merch. Afro Merch, you a fool, as they say. You a fool. He said he'll be all right. It builds character. Well, I guess it does. I guess it does. Okay, I don't I don't know how many people was involved. I didn't get any reports to that. So I guess about 38 people pulled him out the car and decided to jump him before taking the vehicle and getting out of harm's way for themselves. I guess they weren't worried about the police at all. Okay. I guess they just weren't worried about the police. Now, again, y'all, the news would not confirm where this photo came from. Okay. They said Donald Trump posted it too, but they did not say that this was from the carjacking. Okay. I just find that interesting that they didn't say it's from the carjacking. They let everybody know we can't verify what's popping with this photo. We just know Donald Trump posted the photo and that's about it. Okay, cool. So I guess we're going to get into some scurry over some guy getting carjacked. All right. Now, people are saying there are claims being made that crime in DC is going down. Okay, that's the crime. But y'all, as I was looking into this yesterday, it also came out there has been some shenanigans going on. I don't know how deep it goes, but there's some shenanigans that when it comes to stats about DC, some stats have been corrupted. So we don't know if they're real or not at this particular moment. I've heard estimates that DC crime is down anywhere between 26 to 30%. That's what I've heard being reported as I was checking into the story. But the numbers are shaky at this point because there was some corruption supposedly going on with the numbers. That's a whole other story that I didn't get into, but I got to throw that out there too. So people are claiming that the crime is down as high as 30%. All right, so we got a one staffer who got carjacked, and maybe it was bad, maybe it wasn't, because we can't verify where the picture came from. All I'm gonna say is I've never heard of a carjacking where the people took you out the car and actually decided to beat you up instead of taking the car and leaving because they didn't want to get caught by police. If something like that were to happen, I would assume it's personal. Okay. Now, some people may say, well, it was a staffer for Doge. It can't be how do we know it can't be personal? All right. Sometimes you get a certain position and you be feeling yourself and you be talking too much. Okay. And sometimes you piss people off. It just is what it is. But it's just a crime, y'all. Now, I'm not saying like it's just a crime as crime don't matter. What I'm saying is it's just a crime. Carjackings happen in all kinds of places. DC is not the only place that carjackings happen. Now, the thing is, what should Donald Trump or the police do about things like this? Well, the thing is, DC is a heavily black populated area. That's the thing about DC. It's a heavily black populated area. So if you're going to start putting troops out there, this is going to affect some black folks, assuredly. All right. And there have been some claims that the chief of police is going to have to start checking in with somebody else. So now, who's in charge? Is the chief of police in charge? Because things are being pushed as if the troops are going to support the police. They got troops out there the National Guard is going to go out to support the police. Now, some people are claiming that it's just they're going to help them with some administration, some paperwork. That's what y'all sending the troops down there for. The troops are going to be, quote unquote, visible at national monuments. So they're going to do a little patrolling. They're going to walk around to get seen, to get heard. You know, some people say that's cool. Some people say, no, that's setting it up to look like it's not a place that you just want to be. Okay. Shout out to Trey Bentley. Yeah, it was also said they're going to help with some logistics. Okay. So the DC police aren't good enough with logistics that they need somebody else to help them with that. Okay. All right. I'm just going to say interesting times to be in DC. Interesting times to be in DC. You know, they're making some issues about the youth because then they saying the youth can, do things, get arrested as minors, basically knowing they're going to be out the next day. Ain't that how it go across the country? I don't know, y'all. I didn't never end up in juvie, but ain't that how it go across the country? When you young, you're more likely to get a pat on the wrist and be right back out the next day if you ain't really got no history of being crazy out here. Okay? All right? Shout out to Inspired True Broadcast. He say, DC ain't about that life. Carjacking is heavy in Memphis. So, DC ain't really even about that life. So what's the point of the police presence? Now, also, part of them having this police presence out there, there's an issue about people are making an issue about ICE agents. Okay. So why do they need ICE agents is what's being asked. My thing is, why not? Why not? Do I think a department like ICE, well, I'm assuming it's recently formed. I got to look at that. It's recent. ICE is recently formed, to my understanding. But there's a whole thing about DC. People were reporting that DC is a sanctuary city. Now, let me get this straight. What's a sanctuary city? A place where they let illegal immigrants just be there. They're cool with illegal immigrants being there. Now, I understand DC is a little bit different because it's not like a city that's involved in a state in America. So I guess it could be a little more tricky. Okay. Shout out to Better You. He said ICE was formed after 9/11. So it was formed in the 2000s. Okay. Because, 9/11 was 2001. So shout out to you, Better You, right off the top of the dome. Appreciate that. Now, this is the thing, y'all. I know there's a lot of black folks in DC. And I know, of course, there's going to be police powers from whatever department, whatever policing body that they belong to. This will affect black people in that area. It's that simple at the end of the day. Now, I got to ask myself a question. Why would DC be a sanctuary city? Because, number one, this is the nation's capital. Shout out to Wise Get a Man Cave. He say somebody got to control these ninjas. Boy, the ninja. They're stealthy and they're elusive. The ninja boy. And they can be a force to reckon with. That's for sure. Every ninja can be a force to reckon with, even though they're stingy and stealthy. I mean, not stingy, but they're stealthy. Heck, they might be stingy too. Okay. But now, to look at this from a realistic standpoint, if DC is a sanctuary city and they're sending in ICE agents who are going to take a role on try to get rid of illegal immigrants. Now, I'm gonna say, to me, it makes sense that ICE agents be sent there. Why wouldn't you go to any sanctuary city? That's what, ain't that the first place you should go? Real talk. I'm not an ICE agent. Shout out to Afro Merchant. But if I identified as one, wouldn't I want to go to a sanctuary city? Wouldn't that make sense? Because I'm trying to get illegals out the country, right? All right. And you know what? I'm going to say you might have a lot of nerve to be an illegal in America and then go to the nation's capital. I get it. Maybe you don't know no better in the beginning. Maybe you don't know any better in the beginning. But why go to the nation's capital? That just don't sound like the smartest place to show up. Not if you ask me. If I'm thinking like from an illegal immigrant standpoint, with all the places I can go to, why go to the nation's capital? Because, I ain't going to say I'm the smartest guy in the world, but I would assume that if I'm an illegal immigrant and I'm not trying to actually become a good American citizen, as they say, I don't think I'd be hanging out in the nation's capital. I don't think that's necessarily a smart move to make. Okay? That's just me, though. That's just me. Now, I also view it as, people should not be making things easy for illegals to just be here. And I think a lot of times people who are reporting on this stuff, they're conflating issues that don't really matter. And it's like, people should just do their job, leave everybody else's job alone. And certain jobs should be incorporated with somebody who has police power. Because if you have police power, now I'm just saying from any particular way, any particular place, if you have police power and you run across an illegal immigrant, why wouldn't it just be normal that the illegal immigrant would be taken to jail, simply processed? You give him a chance to prove that he's you can give him a chance to prove that he's a citizen, but there's paperwork that people who are non-citizens shouldn't even have. Like folks were saying that you can get driver's licenses and things like that, even though you're an illegal. Like that stuff should not even be in play. Because you're just making it that much harder for somebody else to find an illegal immigrant. Because if somebody pull out a driver's license, you're going to assume that they're legal in this particular country. Okay. Now I understand special scenarios, or if you have a visa or something like that, if you have America's permission to be here, that's different. But if you do not have America's permission to be here, you shouldn't be able to get any documentation that supports the idea that America gave you permission to be here. So my thing is, I don't even see why people who are illegals can get pulled over and just not automatically taken to someplace and shipped on up out of here. If you're not from here, just get out. Now, I do think people are making an issue of that because it's a way that they want to be able to bother random people. Now, do we really want to have a stop and frisk society? Not necessarily saying that. I'm not necessarily saying that I want to stop and frisk society, because I know how that would look and I know who that's going to bother. I know who's going to be the primary targets for something like that. Okay? I don't want to live my life and getting stopped and frisked. Okay? I've had enough of that in my youth. Real talk. Okay. As I got older, I had enough of cops trying to do it. It's just me learning a couple things, and they couldn't do it as easy as they used to back in the day. But I don't want to go through all that stuff. Okay. I don't like getting pulled over for no reason. I don't want to deal with that type of stuff at all. Okay. But to see, the thing is, you do have illegals here. And people will say, well, you know, we need to do that so we can find the illegals. All you gotta do is just stop giving them paperwork. So, stop giving them official documents that American citizen would have if they're not here legally. I don't see what the big problem is there. Okay, I just don't see what the big problem is. Now, I was thinking about the number of police a place should have, because I never thought about that before. Now, this is the thing. How much police power does one city need? Okay, because DC is essentially a city, just a city with no state. How much police power do you need for one city? All right, now they estimated DC had 700,000 folks living there. Okay, and they presently have about 3,500 officers. Is that number too wide of a gap? Let's think about this, y'all. Is that number too wide of a gap? Can 3,500 officers deal with 700,000 people? I'm thinking not necessarily that big of a deal. Okay. What DC needs to hire is on. I'll say that number one. You know, you don't want I don't believe anybody should want another police force or police power coming in while they're trying to do their police power. All right. I wouldn't want to see the FBI if I'm DC police. Okay. I wouldn't want to see ICE agents if I'm DC police. You know, y'all do y'all thing, we're gonna do our thing. You know, things can get very testy when you start putting different groups together. And then groups, you know, usually will side with their own. So the ICE people don't necessarily want to work with the police people, or vice versa. So it can turn into a whole lot of nonsense right away. How is this going to be good for the citizens of DC? I have no clue. I don't know how this is going to help a citizen of DC at all. So to me, there's just no reason for this to be happening. Now, 700,000, 3,500. Yeah, I understand that sounds like a huge number. There's a vast difference in that number. But if you actually are arresting people, putting people in jail, and processing people, how many cops do you really need? Okay, it's not like this is a place where you have a bunch of movie type crimes going on. Ain't nobody just ain't no ruthless mastermind then got some criminals together and they they take some construction equipment, knock down knock a hole into the a wall of a bank, and then they get in there, blow the bank doors open, grab the cash and run. It's not really happening like that. Okay, it's not really happening like that. Okay, now shout out to Trey. Because let me deal with this. He said Trump framed it as removing homelessness and crime, but given who is overrepresented amongst the homeless and who's the most heavily policed, the true targets are clear. Now, I'm gonna say this: the framing is bad in general because Trump did say something about crime and homelessness. Who has the police power to get rid of homeless? Now, I'm gonna say this, y'all. I'm gonna say that. Let's really think about this question: who has the police power to get rid of the homeless? Because see, if you're an American citizen and you're homeless, everywhere there's public property is still your home. A lot of people forget the fact that citizens actually own public property. Now, I'll put a few links in the description. You guys saw some gentlemen talk about, January 6th. People take their side of agendas the way they want to take their sides of agendas. But I'm gonna just keep it real. If when you strip away all the nonsense, everything that's public property belongs to the public. So when Donald Trump said he's gonna target crime and homelessness, now I understand a lot of people want me to believe that homeless people are committing a bunch of crimes. I'm not saying homeless people won't commit some small petty crime. Yes. Maybe they take an extra candy bar out the store or something like that. They're not going in the stores like that. That's number one. All right. Are homeless people carjacking folks? I don't think so. I don't think anybody who's been homeless for 3 years has a gun of any kind and they're going around carjacking people. Okay. I do not think the homeless is breaking and entering people's homes at night while they're in bed asleep and they got a shotgun and they're demanding all their prized possessions. The way we view homeless and the way they try to put homelessness and crime together don't make a whole lot of sense to me. Because, I've been robbed, okay? I know what robbers look like. I'm not saying they all look the same. There's different types of context of a robbery. Most robbers I've heard about weren't homeless. Let me just throw that on the table right now, okay? Most robbers I know about were not homeless, okay? If you lived in the hood and you had your ear to the street, as they say, y'all know maybe a certain person had a reputation. Not saying you actually saw him rob anybody, but there's people with a reputation. Such and such and them will get you. Now don't be over there because such and such, they'll pop up on you, man. Or they be robbing people over there at this area. I mean, at night, somebody come up missing something. So, like, you hear these stories. Are we talking about homeless people? No, we're not really talking about homeless people. So, now, people can technically be homeless for a time or two. A day here, a day there. You can technically be homeless. But if you're an established homeless person, if you're actually an established homeless person, you've been on the street for a year. You have no place to actually live. You're not out here just robbing folks like that. You've accepted that you're homeless. You've accepted that this is not necessarily the life that you wanted as a child, but it is your life now. So just to say the homeless people, okay, what you gonna do with the homeless folks? Okay, what are you gonna do with the homeless folks? Okay. Now, shout out to Chef Mike's Roundtable. He said, I used to live and work in D.C. Most of the homeless in D.C. are foreign spies. This is a little realized fact. Well, Chef, I can't say that's wrong because they're homeless. I can't say that's wrong. They're homeless people. Okay, so they very much could be. Now, the thing is, where are you going to regulate these homeless people? Because homeless people, if they are Americans, every place that's public property, they own it. That's just the way it goes. So what you going to do with the homeless people? You going to send them to a public area? And I know a lot of folks don't want to see homeless people in public areas because people be saying things about, well, I got kids. We want to go play at the park. Well, the park would be a place that's welcome to homeless people because they own that park. They're John Q. Public, just like the rest of them. All right. Now, my thing is this. Are you going to send agents in to see if people are homeless? And if you have a sanctuary city, I'm going to say I don't see the big issue if you have a sanctuary city where if you claim your city is a sanctuary city, if this is your claim, okay, which that's your business at the end of the day, if that's what you want to do, I don't see the big deal about ICE coming in to look for folks because you said this is where the people at. And I will say this, y'all. Anybody who actually is in charge of any area, you're an elected official, you're supposed to be working for the citizens. As citizens, we never signed off on the fact that we wanted a bunch of foreigners here. Citizens have not signed off on that. You know, we look at what people argue about, but when did citizens ever get together and say we want a bunch of foreigners here so they can take jobs that we want, or they can use tax money that we need? You know, there's all these issues about Social Security and things like that. Do the citizens want a bunch of illegal foreigners here? Now, I'm not talking about people who are here the way they're supposed to be. If you went through the governmental process to be a citizen here, I mean, more power to you at the end of the day. Because we as a country, we establish, our policies about how you can be a foreigner and become nationalized as a citizen. And if you follow those rules, I ain't got nothing to say to you. Sound cool to me. All right, sound cool to me. I ain't got no issue with that. You follow the rules, you became a citizen. Hey, more power to you at the end of the day. More power to you. Welcome. That's all I'm going to say. Welcome. Why? Because you followed all the rules. Now, do I think Trump should be trying to have a show of force? Because according to reports, supposedly what a lot of these officers are being told to do is to walk around in certain areas so they can just be seen. Now, at the end of the day, y'all, there's money that's behind all this. These people ain't doing that for free. You're not walking around like national monuments so you can be seen for free. So we're paying our police powers to walk around and be seen. Does that make sense to you? I mean, I'm not saying police should never be seen, regardless of what department you work for, whether you FBI, whether whether you just normal police, whether you and internal affairs. I don't care what you do. Okay. I want something better than just walking around being seen. Why? Because we're paying for this. Now, of course, I'm not a DC citizen. Okay. So I would find this to be a big waste of money, y'all. I find this to be a big waste of money. Go out and arrest somebody, y'all. Go investigate some. It's a whole bunch of stuff that need to be solved that ain't getting solved. All right. There is some issue about illegal immigrants if you have a sanctuary city. I'm not gonna act like that ain't the case, but if you have a sanctuary city, man, process them people and get them on up out of here at the end of the day. Why are we doing all this stuff to keep a bunch of illegals here? And I'm saying is, I know it don't sound like a good soundbite to some people, y'all. If they're illegal, why they still here? Process them folks and put them out. What is the big deal about putting out somebody who don't belong? Do y'all know what I would do if I came home? Let's just say I come home. Now, let's say, you know what? Let's make it a woman, y'all. Let's say I got a sister, okay? Me and my sister, we share a home, okay? Let's do this. Me and my sister share a home, y'all. I got a sister. We sharing a home. It's my home, but it's her home too, okay? Now, my sister, she ends up letting 12 people come over and just live in the home for free. Okay? They ain't paying no bills. They just in there for free. They eating out the fridge. They hurt themselves. They grab a Band-Aid. They just doing what they want to do. They're not, quote unquote, necessarily causing trouble. They're not necessarily damaging property. Maybe they even clean it up behind themselves. Okay? Maybe they even clean up behind themselves. But now I come home and I see 12 people in here that don't belong. Okay. I'm calculating, well, I live here, my sister live here. Why all these people here? I see 12 people that do not belong here. Now I never seen these people come in the front door. But of course, my sister can let somebody in from the back door. Now, if I come home and all these people is here and they ain't got nowhere to go, I'm not saying I would throw them out immediately. Maybe I talk to my sister. Hey, what's up with the 12 people up in here? What's going on? Like, what the heck going on around here? There's 12 people in here and they chilling. Now, maybe I accept that for a night or two. Okay. She got some friends that's in town or something. It's gonna be messed up for maybe I'll give you a week. I'll give you a week. We're gonna overdo it, y'all. We're gonna be cool about this for a week. Y'all think it's gonna go much further than that? If you a man, you gonna let your sister invite 12 people in the house? They supposedly gonna be here a week, but then the week is over and they don't leave. You cool with that, or you let them stay? How long you letting them stay? Now, I'm just saying it this way, y'all, because I just don't understand the big deal about getting rid of people who don't belong. I don't get it. You're not a citizen. You done hit our radar. You ain't proved that you belong here. I don't see what the problem is in putting you out. Now, that's what I would do. But unfortunately, see, when it comes to the government, we got too many governmental bodies trying to do stuff that ain't none of their business in the first place. Who was you to declare any city to be a sanctuary city? Who are you to do that? Okay. Shout out Mr. Shirty. He said that might last an hour max. Now, see, I'm already overdoing it by saying 12 people. Okay. I'm already overdoing it by saying 12 people. Plus, we really overdoing it by saying a week. Who's really going to inconvenience themselves like that? Okay. So we overdoing it by the number and we overdoing it by the time frame. Now, y'all, my sister tell me, don't worry about it. They just gonna be hit this Saturday. Come Sunday, everybody gone. Now, what y'all think I'm gonna do? Now, if I see them Sunday, I can be like, okay, well, maybe they leaving tonight or something like that. I'm gonna be super cool. Okay, y'all leaving tonight, huh? Y'all gonna do the road trip at night. I get it. We're gonna do the road trip at night because that makes sense. You want to drive when there's less people on the road. What y'all think gonna happen Monday morning? I get up Monday morning and them people still here. Now I'm just a normal regular guy. Heck, y'all, I'm gonna get up Monday morning. You know, let's say I'm doing a 9 to 5. I gotta be at work at 9 a.m. I'm doing a regular old 9 to 5, y'all. I gotta be at work at 9 a.m. I get up, you know what I'm saying? Let's say I get up 6:30 in the morning. Cause I'm finna get breakfast, do a little exercise, okay, get ready for work, you know, maybe run an errand or two before I get to the job. I come out my room, I see 8 people in the living room. What? This ain't finna go down smooth, okay? This ain't finna go down smooth. That's real talk. I don't know what I do, but this ain't finna go down smooth. Okay? You got to go. Okay? Now I'm probably getting buckets of water, throwing it at people. I'm probably throwing clothes and suitcases out on the lawn. Like, you know, it's about to be a commotion, y'all. It's about to be a commotion. Now, let's say my sister wake up and she come down there. She trying to stop me. You better get out the way before you end up out there with her. Because people is getting thrown out now. I already let 12 people chill over here for a week. Y'all was supposed to leave on Sunday. Sunday, y'all was still here. I said, okay, cool. Y'all gonna leave overnight. I've been as cool about this as possible. Monday morning, I get up. Man, it's over with. It's on now. It's popping. Okay. Shout out to White Skin a Man Cave. You say your sister a black woman, right? Well, as they say, y'all, it's gonna be some furniture moving at that point. That's real talk, y'all. It's gonna be some furniture moving at that point. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is, okay? Because the way I'm looking at it is y'all done broke in now. Y'all left last night and somehow y'all done broke back. Y'all done broke back in. And I'm finna treat it that way. We ain't doing all this. We not doing all this. Okay, so y'all got the ride. Just is what it is. Now, you can do it like my daddy used to say, y'all. You can either do this the easy way or you can do this the hard way. But at this point, it don't make me no never mind. All I know is people is getting out the door. Okay. Don't mess around and be like a be like a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air situation where the door open and jazz get thrown out. Y'all gonna see bodies getting launched. Real talk. Okay. Shout out to Chef Mike. He said, and Rochwood Live, no soup for you, time 12. My sister's gonna be number 13. Hey man, it's gonna be a baker's dozen out there. It's gonna be a baker's dozen. You keep messing with me. Okay, so I don't believe they supposed to be there. Now, if I'm part of law enforcement, y'all, if I'm part of law enforcement, I'm getting rid of these folks. Now, do I expect crime to really go down because I got rid of some people who happen to be foreigners? I'm gonna say, yeah, it's gonna do something because a foreigner is put into a position where if you're an illegal. Now, if you're legal, you're all good. But if you're illegal, you're basically gonna be put in a position where you're gonna have to commit a crime at some point because you still gotta eat, and that's just the reality of it all. You still gotta eat. So you're going to be put in a position where at some point in time, you're just going to have to commit some form of crime. If ain't nobody helping you, you're going to have to do what you got to do at some point. All right. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like the foreigners are committing all the crime in D.C. I seriously doubt that. Okay. I seriously doubt that. Okay. Just is what it is. I seriously doubt that. All right. But should they be there in order to commit a crime if they wanted to? No, they ain't supposed to be there anyway. So just get rid of them. Now, this is the thing. You got Trump putting people out there who their claim is just to make a police presence. They say they're just doing some logistics and some administrative work. So they really ain't being hands-on, but they are going around the nice areas and just letting it be seen. Oh, if you visit the monuments, we over here. You know, you're not going to do anything to these monuments while we're here. I don't think, I've never heard of people just really kind of attacking the monuments anyway. So I don't even know what that's really doing. Okay. I don't get what that's really doing. All right. Now, my thing is this will turn into other issues because, again, seems like a lot of this flare up was over some white guy who got carjacked. And they used this picture that don't nobody know where the picture come from. And the white guy looked nice and bloody, but he ain't got no bruising. I didn't see no bruise when I look at this picture. No reds. Yeah, no, he's not red, y'all. Y'all know how you slap somebody real good, especially a white guy. You know, you slap a white guy real good, it'll be a red mark on his face. He ain't got no red on him. I ain't see no purple, no blue, no nothing. You showing me blood like he got stomped out. But I don't see no marks on him like he got stomped out. And because this guy who supposedly got stomped out, and I don't know who's stomping somebody out during the carjacking, it just don't make realistic sense. You know, my daddy told me the truth got to make sense in the beginning, middle, and the end. If I wanted to carjack somebody, first of all, would I tell a dozen friends? That's number one. I want to carjack somebody. Am I going to tell a dozen of my friends that I'm going to go carjack somebody? So I'm going to put 12 people involved in this information that I'm going to go carjack somebody. So now 12 people going to talk to 12 more people. You know what I'm saying? You know, and other people just throwing it out there as simple information, just stuff in passing. My homie friend, he about to go carjack somebody now. Okay, so in less than an hour, it's 148 people that know I'm going to do a carjacking. I don't see the point in this. I don't see the point. Okay, now I actually attempt the carjacking. So what? I'm taking 6 people with me to do the carjacking. We just gonna carjack them with no gun at all? Is that what we doing? We gonna kind of run in traffic and make a car stop and then pull the driver out and then beat them up? Is that what we doing? Because it just don't make no sense to me at the end of the day, y'all. Okay. It just ain't making sense to me. Now, shout out to Serious Rod. He said, facts, Roger. No bruising. He used them Halloween blood pills. Now, you laughing, but that could very well be the truth. He got the laughing emojis there, but that could very well be the truth. He just don't look like a guy that got beat up to me. All right. I saw the picture. He don't look like he went through a beat. He just don't. That like maybe that could be a scene from a movie or something. Maybe they doing a homemade film. I don't know. He just don't seem like he got beat up. Okay. Now, again, folks are claiming this is just a show of force because Trump wants to do a show of force by having people be seen. He wants the National Guard seen. He wants the FBI agents seen. He wants the DI.C.E.Y people seen, and they ain't really doing nothing. How do you have a group of people that's gonna go somewhere and be quote unquote seen and ain't nobody gonna do nothing? I mean, we know that's not gonna happen. So are black people gonna get harassed in DC because of all this extra policing? I'm sure it's gonna happen. Absolutely, it's gonna happen. I bet my bottom dollar is gonna happen. Okay, I bet my bottom dollar. And we gonna justify it over some white guy who was a part of Doge. Is that what we doing now? We just taking some white guy, okay, who was a part of Doge. Man, you know what? I guess a white guy who was a part of Doge, and they say he was like one of the first guys in. This would be like somebody who would kind of know Elon Musk on a more personal level. He like maybe getting mentored or something. Like he one of the first guys in there. This guy ain't got blood capsules, y'all. I guess he don't have blood. Now, I'm not saying that ain't real blood, y'all. There's no way for me to know. I'm just saying based on what I'm looking at, he just don't look like a guy who got beat up. I've seen guys who got beat up. He don't look like him. Okay? Ain't y'all seen UFC? If somebody seen UFC, in UFC, you might see some blood, but you see some bruising too. That's usually gonna be accompanied with some bruising. This guy look like he fresh out of Target, man. Hold on, pour the blood on me. We're gonna take some pictures by these cars over here. It's gonna look sick, y'all. It's gonna look sick. Okay. Wait till we put this up, man. We're gonna have the dopest little homemade movie. Now, he's a white guy. Would I expect a white guy who's in politics to make a fake movie? Why not? They got camera phones now. Yeah. I wouldn't say I was necessarily expecting it, but if you told me one did, it wouldn't surprise me at all. Okay? That wouldn't surprise me. Y'all ever heard of something called the Blair Witch Project? Yeah, they just make up stuff, man. Does this seem like one of the more, I'll even say more wholesome ways that white people have fun? Yeah. Cool, they'll do stuff like this. Yeah, absolutely. So now we got this police power in DC. Now, my thing about this, y'all, do I want black people harassed in DC? Because I know it's heavily populated by black folks. No, I don't. But do I have a problem with an ICE agent getting rid of people that don't belong there? No, I don't have that problem either. What I don't understand is how come people just can't do simple jobs? If you arrest somebody at any particular point and they're not a citizen, I just don't understand how come there's just not a process to, hey, we got somebody, he's a non-citizen. Instead of processing him for a crime, why don't he just be deported? That's what I don't get, y'all. Why do we process people for crimes if they're not a citizen instead of just deporting them? And I get it. Some people may make that argument. Well, what about their due process? I think the process of you getting deported is your due process. You are not a citizen. It's been established that you're not a citizen. Now it's time to go. I just don't see what the big deal is. Who holding on to these folks? Why they just can't go and call it a day, y'all? Y'all ever had a job to do where every job you do, you don't want to quote unquote roll up your sleeves and get all the way in the mud. Not every single day. It's enough crime going on that you find somebody who's an illegal, just get rid of them. Call it a day. What's the big whoop? Okay, because if you have them in jail, you got to feed them. Okay, medical issues can come up. You'll waste a lot of money just keeping people in custody. Because think about it, y'all. Once you have a person in custody, you got to feed them. You got to give them something to drink. If you have them in custody too long, now you got to clothe them. It's money. Just hey, you an illegal? Okay, well, yeah. Well, we pulled you over because you made an illegal turn, but yeah, you're not a citizen, so yeah, you got to go. And just call it a day, man. Just call it a day. Who owns the car? Well, you run the plate, see who owns the car, tell them come pick their car up. That's how that go. It is what it is. No fuss, no muss. Where's my cousin Tony? Oh, Tony? Oh, well, Antonio Rodriguez. He on his way out of here. What do you mean? He on his way out the country. He's not legal. He's not a legal citizen. He on his way out the country. Do you have some documentation that will help Mr. Antonio Rodriguez? You got his visa or something? No, he don't have that. Okay, well, he's got to go. Well, can I speak to him? I'm sure he'll write you. I'm sure he'll write you. Hopefully he knows your address. But Antonio Rodriguez now has to go. And I just call it a day. And to me, that makes everybody's life a little bit easier, y'all. You don't need all these extra people trying to show some presence in D.C. if people just doing what's supposed to be done. Because again, y'all, I just don't understand why somebody has a sanctuary city. It's not a real thing. People say sanctuary city, but it's not a real thing. Like, that's not in the Constitution, to my understanding. There's no real thing as a quote unquote sanctuary city. You just got some people who are not, doing what they're supposed to do. The citizens are supposed to be protected. Anyone who's an illegal citizen is a potential danger to citizens. I know how that may sound, but that's just a real thing, y'all. Anyone who's an illegal citizen is a potential danger to a citizen. Now, I'm not saying they committing half the crime. I'm not even saying anything like that. Because I would think if you're an illegal citizen, if you're an illegal alien, you would try to stay off the radar. And you wouldn't necessarily be trying to commit more crimes than necessary. Would crimes become necessary? Well, if you're an illegal alien, probably. Because I don't see how you're going to eat and use the bathroom every day unless you're going to be willing to do some type of crime, unless you literally have a citizen who's actually helping you. And if you don't have that, you kind of struck. Okay. Superstar Jay Quick say, illegals are the problem, but the bigger problem is the pigs that hire them. Now, see, we do have that going on too. You got folks who's hired illegals. So now, my thing is just get rid of them. You don't need this bigger police presence. All right. Can 3,500 officers handle 700,000 people? Well, I mean, nowadays we got camera lights to show if people speeding or not. You don't need you don't need cops to sit around and see if people are speeding. You got these speed zones. I see this stuff in Chicago, so I assume that it's in DC as well. You got these school zones where, if you going over 30 miles an hour, you're going to get a ticket. They not worried about who's driving the car. The ticket will be sent to the person who owns the vehicle. They gonna get paid regardless. With stuff like this happening, is 3,500 enough for 700,000 people? Now, 700,000 people is a lot of people. I'm not gonna act like that ain't a lot of people. But some of the people are gonna be sick. Some of them people gonna be at the hospital. Some people are already in jail waiting to be tried. Okay. Do you need much more than 3,500 officers for 700,000 people? I don't know, man. Because I'm thinking maybe you don't. How many officers do you need for a certain group of people? I don't know, y'all. I've never really thought about it. Do you need one per 1,000 people? Should one per 1,000 people be an officer? One per 10,000 people be an officer? I mean, there are criminals that are repeat offenders, which means the same person is committing the crime. That person is going to spend some time in jail just being processed and all that type of stuff. Yeah, they may get out and commit another crime, but it's still the same person. How many people do you need to police the same person? They say the crime is usually in certain areas, or certain kinds of crime are in certain areas. So do you really need these large police forces? And then at the end of the day, do you really need ICE agents in general? Because if you arrest somebody and that person happens to be illegal, why isn't there just an automatic process that once you see that the person is not illegal, they just automatically go to a certain spot and they get shipped up out of here? Why is that not already a thing? I didn't see as ICE really had to come into existence to kind of help with some illegal issue. No, just get rid of the people that don't belong here. What's the big deal about making it an issue where you don't have to necessarily be biased, man? Like we as the people, we do all kinds of stuff over paperwork, right? Try to go get your license and you don't have the right documentation. What they do? They send you home. Okay. You show up, you trying to get your license done. You show them your old stuff. Well, this one is expired. It's not good. Go home or go get another one of these. We do all this type of stuff without no real issue at all, man. What's the big deal about coming across an illegal person and just getting them shipped up on out of here? You illegal. What's the big deal? I don't get it. I don't get it. And people say, well, what some of y'all have argued that illegals have some type of benefits or they're supposed to get some due process. If okay, you can get one quick due process. We believe you're an illegal. How do you prove that you're not? Okay, show us your documentation. Well, if you don't have no documentation, it's time to ride out, bro. It's time to ride out. They say Obama got rid of a lot of illegals. I would trump whatever Obama did because it would just be a regular thing. You find out he's illegal, they gotta go. Oh, ain't no calling your family, ain't no one phone call. That stuff is for American citizens. You up out of here. It's that simple at the end of the day. What country you from? Okay, we taking you there. You don't want to tell me what country you from, y'all? There's islands out there. I would drop you off at an island. You figure out how to get home yourself. You don't want to tell me where you're supposed to be? You can figure it out yourself. We'll drop you off at an island. People say that's cruel and unusual. No, it's sunny. It's an island. The temperature's good. They'll be all right. They'll develop something over there. They'll be fine. Superstar J Quick says, for cities with populations exceeding 500,000, the average number of officers reported per 10,000 residents is 24.3. This would suggest approximately 1,701 officers for a city with 700,000 residents. Okay, well, that's reasonable. I can say that. According to what Superstar J Quick just looked at, the way he put that together, that's reasonable. I think 3,500 is a large number for just, for 700,000 people. I think if people would just start doing their actual jobs, this ain't really nothing. Okay, this not really nothing. And we don't need all this extra because somebody wants to say that we need these extra police powers here because the police over here is slipping. And then we arguing about is crime down or up, but there's shenanigans going on with the reports on what the crime rates actually are, which is crazy work in itself that as we're doing the story, I actually find out that there's shenanigans going on with the numbers. And so we can't even really use the numbers at this particular time to say whether has crime stayed the same, dipped a little bit, has it went up? We don't even actually know because people messing with the numbers. This is a lot of nonsense to me. And to me, as a person who believes that when you work for the people, you got to do certain things by the book because you're working for the people. And, a lot of these politicians just need to go because y'all not working for the people. Y'all got too much mess going on and people got these agendas. Y'all, I would be looking out for the people. The people is citizens of America, which means if you're an illegal immigrant, I ain't got nothing for you but a sandwich and some. I give you a sandwich and maybe a juice, cause you finna hit that next thing smoking up out of here. You gone. I don't even understand it being the big. And again, if you tell me you don't know where you're supposed to be at, I would literally pick out an island and drop you off. That's what I would do. Now you dropped off at the island. You ain't where you came from, but you ain't over here. Y'all smart and develop that thing. Have your own little society if you want to. You know, what you gonna live on? I don't care. All I know is I'm putting you out of my country. What you do with that is up to you, because you're not my concern. It is what it is. But I'm gonna give the mic to H Rebel since he done came up. H Rebels, you can get in, start wherever you like, my brother. How you doing?
Hey, hello. Good morning to you, Roger. Shout out to you as a host, all the folks who are listening. This is an interesting topic because it's literally happening right now. It's very current. Like all the chaos is happening like right now. You're doing a discussion topic on this, and there's a lot of confusion around what's happening in the District of Columbia. And I'm gonna quote. I don't know if you're familiar with Shakespeare, but there's a line in the play Hamlet, right? And the line goes something to the effect of, "There's something rotten in the state of Denmark," right? And what that line references is essentially, there's a lot of things that happen in that play, but what that line particularly references is the corruption, the confusion, the obfuscation. There's something going on, but nobody knows really what's happening, right? And this is what it looks like here in DC. Like there's something happening. There's a lot of facts, alternative facts, outright lies, distortion, some fabrications, staged incidents that look staged. A lot of stuff is coalescing all at once to give President Trump the excuse to present this show of force, this show of dominance in Washington, D.C. And then this allows him to actually, highlight or point to or reference crime in other cities. He's go, look, we're using D.C. as essentially the base and the example. So all you other cities, get it together, or we're going to do something similar in your cities too. And so all of this madness and chaos is coming to your cities too. The FBI, all these other federal agencies, the National Guard. We're invoking not so much posse comitatus, but in states of emergency, that's where you can use the military. So a lot of stuff is going on, and there's way too many conflicting reports. See, this is the problem. You have DC residents saying this is needed. You have other DC residents saying it's not needed. You have the stats or the alternative stats or some distortion of the statistics saying that all of this stuff is necessary. And then you have evidence or your reports to the contrary. So to be honest with you, as somebody who's actually trying to be informed of what's actually happening in DC, I don't know what to believe. I'm looking at mainstream media, alternative media, first person testimony from actual residents. I'm not even sure they're lying or telling the truth. And then you have an incident, like you got too much stuff going on, right? And then the upshot of all of this is essentially blame the Negroes. That's what it all comes down to. Blame the Negroes. Nobody's saying that, but the buzzwords are thugs, punks, gangs, all the dog whistles associated, that people like to associate with, young black men running around, committing crimes and just, run off the chain doing all these things that's tearing up the city. So that's what I'm seeing. And I really want to believe that what he's doing is the right thing. But at the same time, I'm not even sure. Like, there's a lot going on with this. I know I said a lot, so I'll go ahead and land and let you respond.
Well, I would respond, but actually, Truth Teller has come up, so I'm gonna always try to get him in as soon as he come up. Truth, you got the flow, brother.
Yeah, I'll try to make it quick. So there's a couple of things that this is odd, but we have to really understand the history of this kind of thing. It's never been in our favor, so why would it be in our favor this time? Kind of mentality, and I think most black people have that. I don't care to justify whether it's right or wrong. Honestly, I just see that they got something cooking in the background, and I'm just trying to figure out what they got cooking. So I know a lot of people get flustered. Oh my God, the military in the streets, blah blah blah, blah 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 blah. But we got that with regular cops. So I mean, that's not really the problem for us. The problem for us is what they got cooking in the background. Now, you mentioned earlier about the crime stats. And a lot of people reference this crime stats. It's even been referenced on this panel. Just so y'all know, the so-called FBI crime stats, those stats are not convictions. Those stats are only who they arrested for certain crimes. We already know there's a bias for that. So if somebody got murdered and they arrested 10 black dudes, well, guess who's going to show up as being the majority of the arrests for a particular murder in a certain area? One murder, 10 black dudes was arrested. So people translate that to 10 murders. That's the first problem with the crime stats. The second problem with the crime stats is not all police departments report their statistics to the federal government. Did anybody know that these crime stats, we don't even have the whole picture? You want to take a guess on the demographics of the areas who are more likely not to report statistics? Take a guess on who.
White suburban. White suburban. Not only did I'll let you finish. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, hey, I'm gonna finish in 2 seconds. You can go ahead and take it. But I'm just saying, when we start to mouth this stuff in favor or against any people who neither party is in our favor, we got to take into account what we're saying and what they're sharing with us versus what the truth is. And yeah, I don't really care if he got the military marching down the street, because all they doing, I've seen the clips, all they doing is sitting there. They look like they on a walk with their date. You know what I'm saying? It's like 15 of them walking together down a park trail. Like, what are y'all doing? Fine. Y'all want to be out there. There's nobody to shoot at. What I do think, as folks who are against this kind of thing, is you have a really simple way of making sure that they're walking on glass and not you. Everybody got a camera in their pocket. If you see any of them niggas in your vicinity, turn your camera on. We do it for other stuff. If you and your family walking in the park and you see these soldiers out here walking in the park, and I don't mean if you're a black family, white family, Hispanic, whoever you are, turn your camera on. It ain't hard. Record them. See what they doing. If you walk in and you think they messing with you, turn your camera on. It ain't hard. Y'all do it for all kind of other stuff. Because what they're going to try to do is say, hey, we avoided all these kind of things, but if there's like 1,000 videos of these niggas doing nothing but walking around, I mean, that's not going to carry any weight. So it's real simple, man. There's no need for protest. There's not even a need for arguing. Turn the camera on. That's it. That's all you got to do. And this is not even a headache anymore. Because he got 30 days to convince Congress to extend it. Well, less than 30 days now.
He's not going to be able to come up with enough to actually convince him to extend it. And so these are essentially presence patrols, right? But presence patrols in the United States are much different than if you're actually overseas in a combat situation with a determined threat. Like when you literally have snipers, like you can have direct opposition. Because you're essentially an invader in a foreign country. That's how the foreigners see you, or you're operating in their country. You're in their neighborhood, so they don't have nothing like that that's happening like that in DC. So basically, they're running around here talking about there's a bunch of young black men running around out of control, collected in gangs, and you just don't see it anywhere. And the incident that supposedly, and I don't know, you didn't add it to your videos, Roger, but the incident that supposedly triggered all of this was an attempted carjacking in a relatively nice area of DC, right? In a relatively nice area. I know because I've been there. I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, that's the same area I was in. So when I visited, but it was now here's the thing. The person who claimed to be carjacked or to be a victim of this attempted carjacking, first of all, the car wasn't stolen. Then on top of that, he says the car wasn't stolen. The car wasn't stolen. He said he got beat up. There's a little blood on him. He happened to be wearing white pants. He took a photo with his shirt off and blood dripping down his chest to kind of, for maximum effect.
Yeah.
Now,
who took
the guy who was attacked. I gotta finish the story real quick. The guy who was attacked. The guy who was attacked is a former Doge employee. And now still an employee of the federal government. And the guy who happened to take the photo of this attack happened to be an associate of him who is known to be anti-black. Like, you see what I'm saying? So all of this stuff is not adding up. And then the police arrested 2 people and they don't have any charges saying they actually did anything.
Oh, wait, the guy who took the picture was also a Doge employee who got suspended for being racist. Yeah, but he has since been rehired. So
absolutely,
there you go.
So that means it's okay.
Once they found out he was racist, they had to get him back.
Yeah. So it's okay to be racist. You're gonna lose your job temporarily because for the optics, and then we're gonna rehire you. Don't worry about it. You'll come back in 30 days. So this is the incident that triggered all of this. So and understand, the United States has a history of staging political, what do they call them? Political stunts, right? Or political, attacks or some kind of political incident in order to provoke an armed response or what they consider like justification. And they can use that for justification to elicit a bigger response. They did that with the Gulf of Tonkin incident. They did that with a whole bunch of other stuff, right? I'm just giving you an example.
Hold for me 1 second, because my thing is I don't want this to be no bigger than what it is. Because I actually did put a link in there where they talked about this young man and they showed the picture. And I said the guy don't look like he got beat up. I see the blood, but it don't look like a guy who got beat up because I don't see no bruising. He don't have no red skin, ain't no black, ain't no purple, ain't no blue. He don't look like a guy who was beat up. He just looked like a guy who had some stage blood on. I'm gonna say like that. And the fact that he's a young white guy, and I think this is just something they'll probably do. Like, hey, let's make a movie or whatever. Let's make something funny to laugh at. Of course, some white guys will get together and do this. Now, my thing is this. You said there was no car actually stolen. Is that what you just said?
Yeah. No, it's quote unquote an attempted carjacking. What does that even mean?
So the car never got stolen?
Nope, not at all. No crime was ever even committed.
He's on the ground. So where they get the suspects from?
He's on the ground, beat up, and there was some use in the area.
No. He's on the ground. I'm not gonna say beat up because he just don't look like a guy. He do not look like somebody who's been beat up. He looked like a guy they had the blood capsules or whatever. I remember blood capsules when I was a little kid. He looked like a guy that can afford some blood capsules. That's what he looked like. Now, my thing is, so nobody got arrested then, right?
No, two youth were arrested. They didn't give the race, but let's assume that they were black. But 2 youth were arrested
for attempted
for a carjacking that never happened.
If they didn't get a raise, they probably weren't black.
And assault an assault on. Look again. Too many questions on that one incident alone, but that's one of the trigger incidents that they use in order to. We got to bring the hammer down on DC.
But this is also the thing. Even the news report, they couldn't verify where that picture came from.
Oh, it came from his associate and friend that's related to.
What I'm saying,
the connection to the guy who was allegedly assaulted.
What I'm saying is, Donald Trump posted that picture. The news said we cannot verify where that picture came from. That's what they said on the broadcast. So there is a link there, and they put that in the broadcast. They couldn't verify that, so they don't know that. They can't say that happened at the night that the supposed carjack, with the attempted carjacking, even happened.
Yes, you're correct. You're correct. My whole point is that they're using that incident. Trump has used that incident as that's his Gulf of Tonkin reference, right? I don't want to go into history on that.
Yeah. So some white people beat up a white guy, and a white guy took a picture of the white guy that got beat up, but the white people didn't even get the carjacking done. Because that's what it sounded like to me.
And all these people are connected somehow. So the alleged victim, the person associated with the victim, all got connections to Elon Musk. And then on top of that, the DC police just happened to be right there at that time. And oh, by the way, and DC is camera laden. There's cameras everywhere. I'm one of those guys, by the way, because I've been trained to do this, right? When I go into an establishment, or even if I'm outside, you know what I'm looking for? Cameras. And the reason is that way it helps reassure my security, right? So if something pops off, I'm like, okay, camera here, camera there, camera, got it. All four corners, one in the center, up to the side, there's one at the door. Like, that's what I'm looking for, right? I'm one of those guys. That being said, cameras are everywhere, especially in the state of Washington, D.C. Matter of fact, Washington, D.C. you got the White House there, the White House. So not only are cameras everywhere, they actually have what you call it software that detects gunshots from thousands of feet away. They can actually pinpoint and at least give you a general area where stuff is happening. So you can look. My whole point is that we're at the point now where we can almost get to the point where we know stuff is happening. We can get there quickly, and it's almost the cops don't even have to investigate. Because half of the investigative work is done by the electronics. You see what I'm saying? And then on top of that, oh, by the way, the guy's claimed that his phone was stolen. A phone that is tracked electronically every time you turn it on.
But I guess that wasn't on camera either.
Exactly. So none of this was on camera. And I was, again, this was in an area, I've actually been to in and around that area. And it was relatively safe, no issues or problems. And it's in one of those areas where it's a moderately upscale DC neighborhood, right? So it's not even a high crime to begin with. My whole point is that all of this stuff looks shady, and then basically the way you get away with anything and everything is justified by saying, "Look, it's the Negroes again. It's the Negroes. We got to get them under control." And oh, by the way, this makes the DC Police Department and the mayor look completely incompetent. That's the other part of this too. You see what I'm saying? So a whole lot of things are coalescing, and I have more questions than answers.
All right. Well, I got two more guys who just came in, so let me let them get their statements in. So, Shark, that is you with a little bit of feedback. So go ahead and make a statement. Then you may want to turn your phone off and on so we can help with the feedback a little bit because that was you. But go ahead and make a statement. I'm going to mute up.
I sound better?
Well, I mean, I muted up, so I don't know if you're going to sound better or not right now.
All right, well, my bad. I think I was about to put some stuff together, so I think that was what happened, but I apologize for that. Yeah, good morning, fellas. Happy Monday and everything. I do want to say, Kev, did you say we can assume that the people were black that did this to him? H-Rev?
Yeah, the way they were talking, they made it seem like the people that they arrested were black. They didn't give a race, but then again, that whole thing looked staged from start to finish.
I can say it look a little funny, but
let me just say real quick to that point. I'm saying they're not black because they didn't say they were black.
Exactly.
If they were black, they would have said it. But
exactly.
Go ahead.
Now, H, I know you like the hood. You like our historian over here. I remember. I do remember that she was trying to call for National Guard like 2-3 years ago to come through there. You know what I mean? So, and from what I'm hearing from my people that live in D.C., yeah, it's like the Wild Wild West over there right now. And this is before the National Guard got in there. So, whatever has happened, whatever is going to happen, maybe it might have just got out of hand, and this was the Fort Tonkin that you're talking about that they needed to do so they could get what they needed to get up in there. But as far as people that I know that live in DC that I can call, they've been saying like, nah, it's crazy out here, Sharp. So that's all I could say about that. And yeah, like we know they do fake things to get things started all the time, so I can't argue with you about that. But my ears on the streets over there saying, nah, it's crazy. It's definitely crazy over there. And I'll leave it with that.
Okay, so that means that the mayor and the police department are incompetent. They can't handle and control their own city, even when they know where the crime is happening. Even when they have like definite reports and all the equipment and the necessary equipment associated with law enforcement to actually do their job. So the police are incompetent, the mayor's incompetent, and now you got to bring in the National Guard and all these other FBI, all these other federal agents.
But think about it. What city, what state or city where there's a female mayor, it's not crazy in.
All right, now before y'all go too far, I got Champ Pop for Life here. I gotta let him get in. Champ, you got it.
Hey, what's going on? Happy Monday to everyone. I believe that whole situation with that guy getting beat up was kind of staged up, and the purpose of that was, they wanted to use this as a justification to use federal troops and everything else. Now, I'm going to have to say this: I don't believe. Now, I've been to DC before. Okay. Now it can be kind of crazy, but I don't think it's that I don't believe it's the crazy. I don't think it's high crime and everything else. I think it's just Trump trying to trying to deflect the whole situation with the Epstein situation. But I also think that he's doing this because he's trying to go after illegal aliens and then eventually go after and shut down black folks and everything else. So that's the whole intention of this, federal troop situation, and he's going to try to do that in big cities, like St. Louis, possibly Chicago, and all that. He's basically going after black major cities and everything. He's also going after he's really going after black leadership as well too within the Democratic Party. That's what he's doing. So I'll land my plane there.
Interesting.
Champ Car, when was the last time you was in DC?
I was there last year.
And
I was in DC last year too.
How did it look out there?
Fine to me.
Because people will tell you like, yeah, I've been to New York, and New York ain't that crazy. But when them immigrants was out here, there was a lot of stuff going on. You know what I mean? So if you don't like to visit somewhere and to live somewhere, it's two different things. You know what I mean?
Well, I was there.
Well, let me just say real quick. It's like what I used before in this example. People go to Vegas and you go to the Strip. You don't know nothing about Vegas. You may have been to the Strip 14 times, but you was at the Strip. That's not Vegas. That's the place for visitors to come.
Yeah.
To have a Vegas experience, but you haven't visited Vegas ever if you've only been to the Strip. So go ahead.
Here's the problem, though.
Yeah.
So he's saying even around. So when most people go to DC, especially out of towners, because I stay in like those moderately nice neighborhoods, not super upper class, but solid middle class,
like Prince George's County.
Yeah, and there's no issues or problems there, right?
Yeah.
But then the other thing too is he was saying around and then I go to the National Mall, right? That's where all the Smithsonian museums are, and all the exhibits and all the other tourists go, right? All of that being said, he was actually relating that there's issues and problems right there on the National Mall.
Yeah,
I've never seen that ever.
Me either. I've never seen it. Every time I went up there, during that time, I didn't see nothing over there. Heck, I could just roll down there around DC and everything was with some of my friends up there and run into no problems and everything else. I don't know what the hell the president is talking about.
Well, I've personally seen it. It might have been a minute ago, but I remember one time I'm on the Greyhound going to DC to transfer to go down south, and I literally, like you can see the White House. I forgot the street you're going down, and you can see the White House, and I literally seen two people duck behind a bush smoking crack.
Okay.
So I
So
mean,
like,
shoot, we see that. I see that here
we're not
in
talking
a
about.
in
We're
a
not
white
talking
town
about
here.
there. We're not talking about where you at. We talking about DC. And I
No.
So
was so
what?
flabbergasted to see that because I'm thinking this is DC. Like, how could this even be possible? I could see it in New York City,
But they're
but
not going up there. They're not going up there stabbing each other and everything. They're just smoking crack and everything else.
no, I'm giving you that example to say this was like 19. No, this is like probably like 96 to 2000, and they was smoking crack. So
Okay.
I'm
So
looking at
So
DC as a
what?
place
If
that's
they
so
were smoking
prestigious.
crack, as long as they're not going up there
Hold on.
stabbing each other and everything else.
I dig what you're saying, but me personally, I'm coming from New York thinking that DC is a place of prestige, and the White House is here. And come to find out, I'm literally witnessing people doing the same thing 5 blocks from the White House that they do it in my neighborhood. That's crazy. So I was just shocked from seeing that alone. You know what
so
I
was
mean?
the
So
area so to that point, was it saturated with addicts and activity and criminality?
Yeah.
that Greyhound bus station was real sketchy when I got off
Okay,
that
got it. I know
bus.
what you're talking about. You're right. You're right about the Greyhound bus stations. As a matter of fact, a lot of the dregs and some of the you have homeless and a bunch of other people hanging around those bus stations. So much so that did you know that throughout the United States and especially in the bigger cities, they're actually starting to close down those Greyhound bus stations. Have you guys noticed that?
Yeah.
Because what happens was you start getting a collection of homeless people and what do you call it, the street pharmacists, people out there selling stuff, and then you get the dregs of society kind of hanging around, and what they do is they bother the Greyhound customers. I know because that's one of the reasons I got away
Yeah. They
from actually
panhandle.
using Greyhound, because all the weirdos were hanging out there, and not only that, you get the weirdos on the bus too,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
some of these people. Yeah.
that's why I put my daughter, instead of putting my daughter on a Greyhound, I put her on a train. Instead of using the Greyhound, I put my kids on a flight, or I would take flights and stuff like that, or I would drive myself. So yeah, I understand that. What I'm talking about is that my whole point is that as recently, okay, you said that was 96 or something like that, 2000s. As recently as just last year, the National Mall was not saturated. Definitely not during the day because that's when all the people are out, but not at night either. Because I also wandered around at night too. There were a few nights that my wife and I wandered around at night, and not so much wonder, but we kind of drove around. We rode around, did some stuff because we had to take Ubers to different locations. There was no oversaturation of criminal activity on the National Mall. And you see what I'm saying? And he's saying that's what's happening right now. So basically, even the tourists aren't safe. You're not safe at night. There's a bunch of homeless and criminality and all this other stuff. Like, how can that even be possible when it's never happened?
Okay,
We're not talking about 1 or 2 isolated incidents. We're talking about saturation of addicts, criminality, attacks, gangs, and all this other stuff, and carjacking. Now,
well,
go ahead. I'm gonna let you
no,
respond.
I mean that's because again, that's how people think about when you start thinking homeless. You think homeless and crime, but the crime that you're concerned with, the homeless ain't really doing. The crime that people concerned with is them getting robbed.
Yeah, the
A
homeless don't
homeless
really do
person
that.
ain't robbing you.
Yeah.
Okay,
They're not bothering you at all.
it's the guy who got a home, who got a gun. He
Yeah.
pop out on you. He's robbing you. It
The,
ain't the homeless guy.
the homeless are more of a nuisance than an actual criminality problem. They're
Yeah.
more of a nuisance.
Yeah.
Their presence is more of a nuisance than an actual criminality
Yeah.
problem. They don't
Right.
commit. This is the one thing I will say about the homeless: you don't see them really committing crimes. They are
Yeah.
more of a nuisance and a eyesore to the area, and that's their problem. And some of them leave trash everywhere. So all of
Right.
that being said, is what my point is that
Well, hold on. I'm trying to also say that they will commit crimes, but it's small level crimes that you don't really think about. The homeless is the guy who went into Walgreens and stole the candy bar. That's the crime he's doing.
If he even does that.
Once you establish that they're homeless, because people got a mentality. Once it's established in your own mind that you truly are homeless now, because I ain't saying you could be homeless for 10 days and then next thing you know you rob somebody, but you don't really see yourself as homeless yet. But once homelessness sets in with you,
yeah,
you're not doing real crimes. You're trying to stay out the way.
Yeah, exactly. So my whole point is that this is what he's professing on a national news media, that it is saturated with just homelessness, criminality, and gangs of young thugs running all over the place, just running amok, creating chaos and havoc. And you can't find this anywhere. Now, is it in certain areas of DC? That would be the issue. See, now, so that I'm not going to dispute, because you're right. I've been to DC a lot of times, but I haven't really been outside of the city. I've only been to like the college areas, the tourist areas, and then like a few spots that kind of take you outside of those main areas, but not really into like the deep recesses of the actual city. So you're right on that, to that respect. So if there's crime in those areas, I wouldn't know about it. But then again, if the crime is concentrated in those areas, well, then again, it just goes back to everything goes full circle, back to the mayor and the police knowing where the crime is concentrated and not doing enough presence patrols or interdiction to actually decrease it and get it down to the point where it's under control.
Now, Kev, is it possible that there's crime in them wild areas, but it's starting to seep out of those areas?
Yeah. If it gets saturated in one area, you're going to have what I call spillover, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's going to happen. The thing is that's why you deal with the concentrated areas, so there is no spillover. So that way, the kids from out of town or from out of state can come and go to the National Mall and walk around safely. I've been to DC a half dozen times at this point, and I never even thought about the crime. But then again, like I said, I didn't go deep into like the neighborhood and residential areas, or definitely not a high crime area. Yeah. I definitely wouldn't go there, take my wife or kids there. So
most people are going to go to the Strip. Now I'm using Vegas as a place that everybody recognizes, but you go to the Strip in every other city too. You don't really go to a city to visit a city. You may visit your relative, you may visit your friend, but nobody really goes to visit the actual city. They just go to the nice spot that's set aside for tourists.
Yeah, that's all I ever do in cities that I don't know about. But matter of fact, I make sure if anything I'm getting a cab. Well, yeah, I see what you're talking about, Roger. I don't. Yeah. My whole point is that he's lying about. Look.
Well, hold on, brother. Pigs ain't ish has come up, so I'm trying to let him get it. Okay. Pigs ain't ish. You got the flow.
Salute to you, Roger. Salute to the panel. Shout out to all the bacon that couldn't get the job done. So now Trump had to get his homeboys active. Every time I am upset with Trump, he does something that's just magnificent. Like Chef Kiss. When Putin came, he had a stealth nuclear bomber fly over his head because he was listening to Wu-Tang Ain't Nothing to Fuck With. And now you hit one of his homeboys, you hit one of his crew. So what does he do? He bring out the National Guard. And that is what you're supposed to do. That is what you're supposed to do as a leader. That is what you're supposed to do as a head of state. Women sit around and talk about, what we going to do. The real ones get out there and crack some heads. So the pigs in D.C. is the problem. This ain't Trump. So all the criticism you want to give Trump, you know what? Talk to the pigs in a blanket. Because if they was on their job and one of his crew members didn't get hit, we wouldn't have this problem. But we all know how Trump is. We all know how Trump is, right? You kill my cat, I'm going to shoot your dog. Rest in peace, DMX. All right, that's all I got to say.
Well, I got to say that we're not sure that anything actually happened to his homie. Because you talking about that guy who's working with those, he don't look beat up to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Because
just
you
saw a
see,
woman get punched
I
in the
look at
this
it
is,
face.
as being
this is
staged.
again where you're wrong. This is where you're wrong, see, because it don't need to be true. Just the fact that niggas think they can do this, I gotta take action.
It seemed like his homie staged it for a play,
Yeah,
a movie that they was making. That's what it looked like, bro. If you look at the picture of the guy who supposedly got carjacked, the man don't seem to have a scratch on him.
right.
Yeah,
Roger,
and
Roger. The fact that niggas think you can do that to my team, I gotta take action. Real or not is irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I'm motherfucking Trump.
but that's the problem though. If it isn't real, then that's a problem. That means
Right.
now it's a misuse of tax money, the military, false pretenses, and then exaggerating the situation to like look. If it's true, then there's no issue with it. And then because now you got to figure out how and why it got to that point. The thing is that nobody can prove that the Washington Mall and that surrounding area has been saturated with criminality. Right?
Look,
You can argue about certain areas of DC where there's a predominantly, whatever population that's where there's crime. Okay, we can argue that point. Then now again, it goes back to the mayor and the police, Washington DC police, the local DC police. That's not just patrolling the federal area, haven't done their due diligence and done what they're supposed to do to keep out spillover from going out to the other areas.
Kevin
Right.
C.
Hold fast, real quick. Let's let Shark make a statement, and then Shark, reset your phone, brother, because that feedback is definitely in there. So go ahead and say what you was about to say, and then reset your phone. Come on back, because we want you here, but
No,
we
I
don't want
wasn't.
feedback.
I wasn't saying that. My phone was muted, but I'm gonna do that, and I come back though, just to make sure.
Okay.
All right. All I'm gonna say, Kevin C. Look, somebody on my squad said, "Big homie, they got me." I seen pictures. I gotta take action, bro. Now later on, if somebody comes back and say, my bad, I was just doing it for clout, then we deal with that later. But at the end of the day, my squad ain't sweet.
That makes it worse. That
No, it
actually
doesn't.
makes it worse.
No, it doesn't.
Look, I don't look. If it's legitimate, I can't argue against it. If it's illegitimate, now I have an argument. That's my point.
Well, I mean, but the point is, bro, if you come to me and you say, yo, pigs, they got me, right? You're on my team.
Look, my issue is that black people are at the center of this, and that's the narrative that I don't like, especially when you're coming up with stuff like they always do to criminalize black people to justify nonsense and brutality and taking black lives.
Exactly.
If you normalize that, it's only a matter of time. Look, the reason I harp on this stuff is that it's only if you normalize that, it's only a matter of time before it hits you. And you're a hardworking, responsible, productive, and law-abiding citizen. It's only a matter of time before it hits all black men, not just the ones we think are the problem or the criminals. It's going to be, look, okay, now that this is normal and everybody's accepted it. And Roger has had this conversation before. We've had some points of this discussion. You got to get the public, the general public, and society to accept it. Once they accept it, now you can start running people through the chambers. Now you can start running people in the gas chamber, right?
See the thing about it is that we as black people ain't on our job. We ain't on our job, right? Because
I disagree. Who is we?
No, because for example, when there's all these unlawful police killings, right? There's no repercussion. Nobody goes missing. Nobody gets hurt. Nothing happens. So we ain't on our job either.
Well, during the riots in out in Ferguson, there were some people that were lost and being captured by local FBI officials, and we didn't even hear from them for quite some time. Some of them were mysteriously killed.
No, you're missing his point, though. You're missing his point.
You're missing my point, brother. You way missing my point. We ain't even the same city right now.
Yeah, we get your point. You kill my cat. You take out my cat. I get your dog, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, right. You know what I mean. You know, like I can't breathe. Like nobody's daughter missing, right? Nobody's son is strung up on heroin. Nobody getting AIDS, not like that. Nobody gets raped. I mean, nobody gets sexually assaulted. Not what I mean. What we doing up in here?
I would have to say if we were gonna do something like that, then the white guy who seemed to have staged this, as far as I'm concerned, I'm saying for right now, due to a lack of information, it seemed like it was staged to me. He needs to go missing if we're gonna play that game because so far we don't have any confirmation that black people was involved in this at all.
Well, I mean, but that needs to be our response, right? Our response needs to be because does DC have a black mayor at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, black
Also,
female.
then
No,
our
it's a
response,
woman. It's a woman.
then our response to Trump would be like, "Yo, right now you need to pump the brakes. I understand that niggas on your squad, but black people on my squad. Until you figure it out, you need to pump your brakes because if you're gonna do this, then we're gonna really make it worth it. Then he will get snatched up."
Well, look, the mayor has demonstrated a long time incompetence in order for that. So it shouldn't even. Trump shouldn't even have any point of legitimacy, even if it is legitimate. He shouldn't even have an argument in order to do what he's doing, because she should have been on her job, right?
Yeah,
See, that's the problem.
That's true, but I mean, I do understand because if I'm the president of the United States and somebody on my team gets jacked, I'm doing the same thing Trump would do.
No, I totally get you. You're saying with you, there's going to be a show of force. I understand that. My issue is the fact that so far it looked fake. Okay, that's my issue. So far it looks fake. I don't believe nothing happened to this guy. Now, if some information come out to tell me something happened, cool. But right now, it looked like nothing happened to this guy. Like he went and bought some blood capsules and used them. Ha, funny.
He's conveniently wearing white pants, so that way that you get the red contrast against the white pants. He conveniently took off his shirt to take the photo, and you get the red contrast against his pale white skin. Like
but that also him taking off that shirt made it very convenient for me to see no bruising at all on his whole body. I didn't see any bruising at all. How you get that bloody and no bruise?
Absolutely.
Let me watch that again because I saw cuts and shit on his chest. Let me watch again.
No, he's not bruised up anywhere. We just saw a woman take a direct shot to the face, and she had all kinds of bruising and swelling, right? And when she hit the ground, right? This dude claimed to get beat up by a gang of people during an attempted carjacking. Not one bruise.
I done been in fights. Ain't no white boy coming out there clean.
No,
especially without no shirt on.
Whatsoever in that melee, so that's why I think this whole thing was staged.
Yeah. It's no sign of a body shot whatsoever. Like nobody hit you in the chest, nobody hit you in the stomach, nobody hit you in the ribs. Like nobody hit you where? I mean, where they hit you at, man?
And then to make it even more suspicious, he's a Doge employee or former employee, still a federal employee, and the guy who took the photo has connections with Elon. Like all of it. Look, you're gonna tell me that people say there's no such thing as a coincidence. When all of them line up, when too many coincidences line up at once, now you got a conspiracy, right?
Well, if a Doge person got his butt whipped and another Doge person was
right there to take the photo, while the police happen to be right there to arrest people who we don't even know what their race is.
But what's so suspicious about that? They might be co-workers and they might be in the same vicinity. He could have called his mans up like, "Yo, I just got my behind whipped." I think sometimes.
Hold on. He could have called his mans up. He just got his behind whipped.
Yeah, well, I get.
That's the guy you're going to call. That's your first call.
Yeah.
Not for an attempted carjacking and an ass whooping.
Yeah.
That's your first call. Hey, come take a photo.
No, my first call is, yo, they tried to run down on me. Come holler.
No, so you trying to get some action?
Yes.
What H. Rebels is saying, the action already took place. So now you gonna call your friend instead of a cop or something? Remember, it's a white guy who's entangled with the government himself.
Yo, that's what. Fellas,
not only that, police have equipment to take photos themselves. Look,
fellas, we looking too much in this. First of all, where did you get the story from? You got the story from some white media. They play games. They playing games to the point where we sitting here making our own conspiracy theories up about something.
No. Hold on. My thing is y'all throwing that word conspiracy around. and it ain't real. We're not making those conspiracy. I'm saying legitimately they showed a photo of a guy who's bloody, who does not look like he got beat up at all.
No, I'm not disagreeing with your point. I'm just saying H Rev talking about, well, it was a Doge person who got beat up, and then a Doge person took the photo. So now too many coincidences. You know, man, sometimes we just be reaching. You know what I mean? Like a
So
blood get
where's
beat
the
up, and another blood
so
takes a
where's the
picture of
street
a beat
footage?
up.
Where's the
Huh?
street footage, and where's the official police photos
Well,
of the
yeah, where's
incident?
the official police report? And also, too, where's the where why did they take any pictures of him? Afterwards, being bruised up and everything else. You
Well,
know,
when it's an investigation pending, I never known the police to be letting out photos of stuff like that. You know what I mean?
But
Like
they're gonna
especially if
have them now.
police
Now,
issue
for
photos.
something like this, you got to let the actual photos out. Where were
yeah,
what do you call it? Where were the first responders? Like
yeah,
it's too many questions.
too many
Yeah,
questions.
that I could definitely agree with. There's too many questions. Now my thing is
In a city that's full of cameras in a relatively nice neighborhood.
now my thing is I I don't know what news outlet you got this story from, but if I'm not if this is a whole nother issue, but I think it's the same issue. I've seen reports that there were a bunch of men harassing a female, and he went to save her and got beat down.
With the Doge guy,
Yes.
that's not what he said though. He said it was an attempted carjacking.
Well, that's two issues that's going down.
You see
You
my point?
understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day,
But the
first of all,
car
put it
wasn't
like this:
stolen.
I-
Yeah,
if is DC under turmoil? Yes or no? Who cares
it
if it
is
was a
now.
Doge person that got beat up or this got beat up? And this is what you even said this, like, yeah, if you keep letting things go on, then it's gonna happen to you as a regular black man. If you keep letting crime go on, it's gonna happen to you as a regular black man. Don't matter how good you did made your life, don't matter how far you live away from the ghetto, it's gonna come down to your block.
But you know what? I gotta say this too, because again, my daddy taught me the truth got to make sense at the beginning, middle, and the end. I got a huge problem with a guy who is claiming that something bad happened to him, but you got a picture with all his blood on. You don't look beat up, and he never took the car.
And there's no
Who
video
does the
footage.
carjacking, beats you up, and don't take the car?
And
Well, it might have been a foiled carjacking.
and now there's this
Yeah,
mystery woman that's at the
hold on,
scene
no.
too.
I could understand a full carjacking if somebody gets out the car and then whoop on the people who attempted the carjacking. But where they at? And why the cops? Now, if you just whoop them and now you get them arrested because they couldn't actually take it from you. They literally showed that they could not take the car from you. I get that, but you whoop them and they not there to get arrested, and the car's still there. Like, what we doing? What we saying here?
No,
The whole thing is giving the boy his
they
property.
saying he beat the carjackers up or the carjackers beat him up.
No, what I'm saying is the car's still there. I can understand the car still being there if the guy got out the car and whooped the carjackers. That I would understand. If he just plain out whooped the carjackers, they tried to carjack him, they ain't had no gun or something, and he just whooped them. I don't
No.
understand.
I feel what you're trying to say, but once the spot gets hot, yeah, you might just have to leave that there and get the hell up out of Dodge. So
But
that
I
you
mean,
never
but
know.
the
That commotion
problem,
could have made it to the point where it's like, nah, it ain't even worth it. Let's get up out of here. I didn't see that
but
happen many a times.
but the problem is that the photo looks a little bit staged.
And I
Like
agree.
the photo looks
It
a
looks
little bit
very
staged.
staged. Not
No,
not even
I mean,
least.
like
It
no,
looks very
like
staged.
it does look like somebody punched him. It does look like he got punched in the mouth, punched in the nose, but like all the blood that's on his body and stuff, that's not coming from the body. That's probably coming from a bloody nose and it looks like some people kind of smeared the blood across his body purposely. Like it looks kind of staged,
He
man.
had time to take off his shirt to get the blood
Yeah,
on all over his shirt.
it looks kind of staged. It
Yeah.
does look kind of staged.
And he's curiously wearing white pants.
Well, I don't know about that, but I just don't know. It's staged because you can see that like his body was not bruised at all. Like all that blood is coming from his nose.
Okay, so blood coming from his nose, all down his chest, going into his pants.
Yeah,
Like,
it looks staged.
Well, my
and there's
issue is
no
this:
video.
if you have that much blood on you, you had to take a lick of some kind, or you're gonna tell me that's all the assailants' blood, the people who was trying to attack you. You had to whoop them when you get that much of their blood on you, because I don't see that he took a kidney shot. I see no mark by his ribs. I don't see nowhere his body got beat up.
He had time to take his shirt off too.
And so my thing is, if you get out the car and you just that bad of a man that you just whooping people like that, and that could have been the case. I'm not saying it wasn't the case, but if you that bad of a man, the criminals don't get away. Or if you had to whoop them that you're bleeding like that, they taking that car. Cause you on the ground like something wrong with you in the picture. You on the ground like something wrong with you. Why are you on the ground unless you whooped? So it ain't adding up to me. Either you whooped and on the ground and I took the car, or you got out and you whooped them criminals, and the criminals had to get out of Dodge, and there's nowhere in the world you got that much of your own blood on you. The two ain't adding up to me.
Yeah, it looks kind of staged. So I mean, and because if this is the case, then this is a Rosewood, right? This is a Rosewood, pretty much.
Well, so the other thing too is, and Roger, you didn't include this, so I don't know if you just couldn't find it, but as part of the research, and that's fine. But like Fox News ran basically a segment, and they said, what were they saying? Oh, the fatherlessness in D.C. is causing all of these issues and problems. Like basically, they were blaming black men for this. And they were saying it was absent fathers that caused the spike in crime, and that's why these young people are running around out of control.
Well, we say the same thing in the black manosphere, though. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we say the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that I hear that.
But you know what?
That's the type of stuff that
It's a problem when a white person say the same thing that you say. Basically.
Actually,
that's the exact. That's something that Larry Elder started. 30 years ago. That black fathers, that fatherlessness is the problem and everything else. He's been using that quote for like generations and everything else.
The thing about that is it's all a lie. Fatherlessness is not the problem. People not having their children raised in their father's home, you can say, is a problem. But the fathers live at home. The fathers have a home. Why the kids ain't there? That's a woman issue. That's not a man and kid issue. That's a woman's issue. Why do you have kids being raised somewhere other than their father's home?
And that's the point right there. So what Roger just did, you see what Roger just did? Roger actually pointed to at least one of the root causes of this alleged problem about absent fathers. Whereas when everybody else does it, and when they throw it all over Fox News, it's just, absent fathers, black kids, crime. That's how they make the connection, and they don't even address the root causes. And the furthest they get is saying Lyndon Johnson, the welfare state, black women married the government, all this other stuff. As long as they can blame the Democrats and not point to any Republican policy.
The Republicans support those programs too. Let's just put that on the table.
Open Republican policies. Basically,
this is where I get a little bit upset with you, because, bro, it's a white institution. They don't have to do that, right? And they're not going to do that. It's a white institution. They're never going to put the best interests of black people in there, because we're not as constituents. And
that's my whole point. So this is why they can't be trusted.
But we should know that, though, right? It's like, okay, let me say it this way. It kind of comes off as like we're blaming them or we're pointing the fingers to them. At the end of the day, hey, it's like at the end of the day, moving forward, it's on us. Like, black men know that, okay, it's very hard to raise our own children. So what do? We stop having children for the most part, right? Majority of men don't have children because it's hard to raise your children. So we stop having children, right? Now, if we want news media, then okay, we need to start supporting black news media and have news media on YouTube, like a black news media, black male news media on the perspective of this, right? But at the end of the day, man, white people are going to do what white people do, right? And
Yeah,
we need to start
so
doing
the thing is that they're the mainstream
with black
media
people, with
They're
black people.
mainstream media.
espousing lies.
What?
Yes.
That's the issue.
Well, who runs mainstream media, Kev?
But I mean, no,
Hold on,
it's
hold
not.
on,
I
hold on.
disagree with
Look,
that.
hold on. This is media. We putting out what needs to be put out because mainstream media putting out what they want to put out.
Right? No,
So
Yeah.
yeah,
like when it comes to media, there's no such thing as lies. It's about what is the best message for my constituents. There's no such thing as lies. It's
yeah,
just what is the
That sounds like
best
a lie.
message for my constituents.
It does. There is such thing, and to me, it's a lie.
No, it ain't, because if it was that point, if that was the point, they would have
Yes.
told you that she tried to get the National Guard in there 2 years ago. But who was in office 2 years ago?
Joe Biden.
All right then. But why they didn't bring that up? Why didn't they tell you that he finally this man had to do it this because these people didn't want like Jado always tell y'all, he tell y'all this at least 3 times a week. You gotta watch this TV and take and play chess in your brain with what they're doing and why they are presenting things to you and when they're presenting to you and for
Right?
what reason.
Are they presenting it to you? Right? Like that's the thing, right? The thing about it is, man, look, this is a game of power, and media is one form of power. Resources is another form of power. Money is a form of power, and we're sitting here expecting white people of all races to be fair and balanced. Come on, guys. Come on.
I know they're not fair and balanced. Never said they were fair and balanced.
Well,
They're not
I say
supposed to
you're
That's
be.
literally the slogan of Fox News, fair and balanced. That's literally their slogan.
Well,
So
but you believe it? Yo, Kev, come on, man.
I get all of that. Obviously, I don't believe it, but my point is that you're not doing what you're supposed to. If you're just going to lie, then that's why then nobody can actually trust you. And all
Yeah.
you're really doing is just lying to white people.
And
But
why
but
do you think they don't want you on? Why do you think they don't want Roger on
but
YouTube?
actually, you know what?
Because
You know what? Fox is fair and balanced to the white perspective.
yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
there's
that's
lies.
true.
The Roger Report is fair and balanced to the black man's perspective, right? Because you'll have a white person listen to this, you'll have a female listen to this, you're like, oh, this shit is crazy, but to us, it sounds fair and balanced.
I agree.
Yeah.
Good point. Make that.
Yeah,
That was a
because
good point.
yeah, because I hear you because I don't see any of those what you call it, alternative right wing conservatives actually talking about the fact that there's even that the whole thing looks staged. They're not
Yeah.
saying a
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
Now when that black kid got beat up by those 4 white kids, there were people all up in the comments. Well, he doesn't look like he got beat up that badly. He was able to go home. It wasn't that
Because
big a
you know what?
deal.
That's their perspective, right?
That's their.
Like for example, when you saw that white boy, zero Fs were given. Like I had no sympathy for that white boy at all. 0 Fs. Because he's not me. I don't see myself in him. So to have empathy in that is kind of low key crazy. Just like when we had that conversation when that little white boy got bit by the dog, and the black boy ran in to save him. I'm like, he's a smack fool. He's a smack fool.
Well, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. The thing is, as a media spot, even though it's not as comparison, it don't have the numbers that the mainstream media gets. It is our job to put out the truth, and I just see that's all H Rebels is doing. At the end of the day, you have to come out with the truth because if you don't come out with the truth, they're going to win. And at the end of the day, it's not because you don't have black closets at home. It's because the state will sponsor a woman being in a different home. So if they're gonna talk about welfare people, you're talking about the state literally paying for women to be in a different home. That's what you mean when you say welfare.
Roger, with all due respect, I'm going to have to disagree with you, brother, because there's something called the black truth and there's something called the white truth, and they just don't mix. I'm sorry.
I mean, I'm saying the truth is, if you're talking about welfare, folks, you're literally paying a woman to keep the kids away from a man and not be in his home.
But that is for black people. White people don't have that experience, right? It was
No,
never
no,
a
I'm not saying they do. What I'm saying is they put out their narrative, and
right.
it is fine for us to put out the actual narrative. When you talk about welfare, you're talking about people you're paying to keep the kids
No,
away
no,
from
no.
their father.
Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. When white people get on welfare, they're not getting paid to keep the white man out of their family lives. That is so. If we're talking about welfare and from a white perspective, that doesn't happen because in white America, that doesn't happen. That is the white truth.
No, 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 no. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about this whole thing about, or when he said that the news is saying that
Yeah,
this is because
I'm
of
getting there.
the
I'm getting
father
there.
is home.
I'm
That's
getting
what I'm
there.
talking about.
I'm getting there. So, but for us, black women chose to stay over their own children and over their spouses, right? So for us, it's what you just said, right? The problem is not like fatherless homes. The problem is women don't want fathers in the home, right? That's all. That's
No,
our truth.
they don't want the children in their father's home.
Okay, they don't want black children being raised by their fathers. Okay, that's our truth.
Well,
Black,
that's the truth. That's
but, but
just the
both, but
truth.
both,
That's the
but both,
unfortunate truth. That's the unfortunate truth. What's going on right here? So
And
but both.
if you report it any other way, now you're lying, which is why
Because
which is
both.
why a lot of these mainstream media outlets can't be trusted.
Because if you're talking from the white perspective, gentlemen, if you're saying, oh, because these kids, the father don't have their home, that makes sense and that's true because they don't experience that. They haven't had government initiative target the black family. So from their perspective, that makes sense and that's accurate. But from our perspective, right, it was that okay, America don't want black children to have fathers in the home.
well, I'll throw this out. If you want, if you can't, if you don't want to watch Fox News and all that, and want to see something that's truly fair and balanced, go watch Democracy Now! Sometimes on YouTube because that's the only one that you're going to have fair and balanced.
Yeah, they do a good job. Yeah,
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 and
they
some,
generally
and I
do a good
also
job.
too, and then we also add to Al Jazeera too.
Hold on. The Rise Report Live is not endorsing anything that I ain't personally ever went to. I ain't endorsing none of them as fair and balanced. That's what I'm saying. Not one of them.
Well, I'll just look at this. Okay, so we get just to that point. Is that me?
Yeah.
Okay, let me go out and come back.
Because I mean now when Kevin C does his new show,
Hold on.
right?
That's not H Rebels because the static is still here and he on mute.
That's it's Shamcraft for life. It's Shamcraft for life, actually. But when H Revel does his news channel, then yeah, okay, we have a black, fair, balanced news thing, right?
That is the point of the news. That's why people like Democracy News and Al Jazeera is a Middle Eastern. Same thing with what's the other one? There's an India news agency I always watch too.
Yeah.
They tell the truth too. Now
Well,
they're crapping on America when they do it.
let me say this. Let me say this. Because while y'all talking about all these news, the Rise Report Live is not officially endorsing any news. I have figured out since 2001 that the news tell lies too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying any of them
That's
are
true.
a great source for truth. They all have lies. Okay, it is. I've known that. I've seen them on the news reporting lies.
Champ, please mute. Please mute,
Yeah,
Champ.
yeah,
Well, I'm
yeah.
gonna land my. I'm gonna go ahead and have to leave right now and
Yeah,
everything
just
else.
reset your phone, Sam. Reset your phone. That'll
All
probably clear up what that is.
right. No, that's okay. I got to get ready to head on out. But thanks, though. But
Okay,
I'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. Okay.
in the future, just reset your phone before you come up there. Okay.
Okay. Then. All right then.
All right. Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is, uh, since 2001, I realized major news media will report lies on the news. They have access to all type of experts. I literally saw them lying on multiple news stations myself because a big event happened back then. So I saw multiple news channels telling lies. So that's when I knew the news lied. I
I
used
will
to
agree
think
with
when
you
I
on
was
that.
growing up, the news always told the truth. No, they showed me without no shadow of a doubt that they'll lie anytime they want to. So it is what it is.
I agree with you on that. That does happen, which is why you can't trust them.
This is why we need our own news show. We need
What, what,
FBA news
what,
channel.
I'm trying to conduct one, but the subject of today is not about what the mother folks is doing. What I'm doing is just trying to address well, yeah, well, I'm saying I'm trying to conduct one right now, but I'm saying that because what Kev said about, what H Rebel said about this is an issue with fatherless homes, which is just not the truth. We get literally, it looks like we have literal people staging events so they can have a reason to do something.
Yeah,
that doesn't tell me crime is out of control. That tells me somebody has an agenda because I have to stage the event.
Exactly.
Right.
But my question is, when she was asking for the,
not only that, you have Fox News actually
Pig?
putting the blame on black men and young, basically young black teenagers running around acting a fool. So when it's literally not happening.
No, but Kev, when the lady was calling in for National Guard and trying to get National Guard to come in 2 years ago, where was all of this energy? Where was the people talking about childless homes, fatherless homes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You didn't even hear them talk about it. They brushed it under
because there wasn't a young white person hurt, so that's why.
And we still don't necessarily have a young white person hurt because the person in the video looked perfectly fine.
We see a picture of what's supposed to be a young white person being hurt, right? What's supposed to be. So now people are gonna take action. And see, that's the thing. Like this reminds me of a Rosewood situation, right? DC, Chocolate City, right? And now what's happening right now is pretty much Trump is inviting, the militia and these hate groups to come, and it's going to be open season on black people pretty soon.
Well, so they're already doing that to some extent. So they're already walking up on black people who are not doing anything at all. There's videos of federal agents or people from federal agencies walking up on black people in there, just relaxing outside and questioning black citizens who are not a threat and definitely not committing any crime. At that point, it's just harassment. See, this is the problem. So again, all of this just to harass black people. Hell, you can do that anytime. Just say, look, this is what I want to do. I want to go out. I'm going to go out and harass black people. Just do that.
Well, the point.
But they ain't gonna come out and say that.
Which points to why you need all of these cacophony of lies in order to justify these actions.
If they talking about National Guard is being imposed on New York City, my black ass is not going to be sitting on the benches in the park.
Well, that's the point. So you got to come up with a cacophony of lies and deflections and deceptions and all.
No. So I'm saying, you said they walking up on people just chilling outside. I'm not going to be chilling outside if the National Guard has been put into New York City to roam the streets.
I got you, but my whole point is that was the initial few days of it. But people thought, like, look, because people were thinking in their minds, okay, y'all are here to deal with criminals.
Well, hold on, because Shark said something that turns into a dangerous, slippery slope. Because if the National Guard is there, I totally get why he's saying, well, I just wouldn't be chilling at the park. But that is literally you having to conform on what your freedom is supposed to allow you to do. If you felt like chilling in the park, you're supposed to be able to go chill in the park. That's literally what the park is for.
No, it's not even, because I can still chill in the park. I mean, it's crazy outside. I'm chilling in the house. That's why I pay rent to be safe.
I get what you're saying if that's under your own thought process. But if I'm not chilling in the park because the National Guard has been let loose on my city, that's a whole different thing.
Roger, if the gangs is taking over your city, you ain't gonna be trying to chill in the park either.
That's part of the problem.
My thing is, we got to be realistic. I grew up in a city with gangs. I could not live my life because gangs happen to exist. I still had to be a free person, go out and do what I needed to do.
What you need to do, and you don't need to sit in the park when you could just go to your man crib and play poker and smoke cigars in the backyard.
But I would, if I could say this. Well, see, the problem with this is that the harassment is going to happen to everyday working class black people, and so You got to push back. You got to take this to court. You got to take this to court because at the end of the day, if FBI is just harassing people like this, you got to take it to court because it's going to never be ending, right? Because what was quote unquote said to be like the the military National Guards used to attack drug dealers and things like that, but it's not, right? It's not. It's just used there to suppress black people. That because that has been the MO of white people for forever,
Yeah.
right? That's forever. So Trump saying that okay, he's gonna act the international guards to curb crime. We know that's not true just because he's white, because white people don't tell the truth.
And the only way I'm gonna believe, like I'm with you, I'm with you, what you saying, Pig. And the only way I'm gonna believe it is if I see something different. But he could tell me what he want to tell me. But now if I'm seeing something different going on, then it is what it is. All
But
right,
that's why
maybe.
you gotta. That's why you gotta take it to court. You gotta push back on this, because having the military there and the federal government there infringing on our civil liberties is unconstitutional.
And they're really only doing that to black people while claiming they're going to round up homeless and
Right.
criminals.
That's
Not trying to say that they're going to attack and harass black people, which is literally what they're doing, because that's what now you have first person eyewitness video and testimony of people actually getting harassed, and and people telling their stories about it. Like this is look, if it's all legitimate, I don't have anything to say about it. If there were systemic failures at the federal and the mayoral level, and even at the law enforcement level, I don't have anything to say about it.
But
The problem
Kev,
is that all the stuff all the lives that they're using in order to affect what they're doing right now, none of this stuff is lining up. That's all I'm saying.
But Kev, we have seen. Well, first of all, DC has its own rules. First of all, and we have seen these black women. And I don't mean to attack black women in general, but we have seen these black women be put into places of power like mayors, and the city goes to the shitter.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, black women, for the most part, are still just white supremacists at the end of the day. So if white people don't like it, they ain't doing it. Now, number two, the last person I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to from a societal standpoint is a white politician. As far as I know, lying is almost the job description of a white politician. You know what I'm saying? They run on lies, get elected on lies, and they perform lies while they in office. Like, so I ain't giving none of them quote unquote benefit of the doubt. So I don't even want to hear it when it comes to them. Because it just don't make sense at the end of the day. Now, shout out to the real Don. I'm gonna stick my foot up your butt. Trump says you have no civil liberties, and you know what? Unfortunately, that's kind of the message that is being pushed, that you have no civil liberty. Because my thing is this: if I want to go to the park, I'm going to the park. Why? Because I'm Joe Q Public too. It's my park. I own that park. I go to that park whenever I want to. Now, I am going to say I am one of them people. I'm not going to let a bunch of gangs tell me what I can and can't do either. It just is what it is. Because once I accept that they my boss, ain't really nothing I can do. All I got to do what my bosses tell me to do. They not my boss, man. It just is what it is. And and I know I'm not trying to overly do it or play a tough guy role, but there is a real thing to freedom ain't free. Sometimes you got to fight for
it. No, you got to fight for it all the time.
I mean, that's reasonable. That's reasonable too. So, if I listen to the rules where I grew up, there's certain neighborhoods I can't go into because I was born in this neighborhood. That's the way it works. I ain't never followed them rules. I doubt if I ever will. That's real talk. Now some place I'm just ain't going because I don't want to go. It just is what it is on that note. But who are you to tell me I can't go? If I don't let gangbangers tell me why I can't go, and that's like the police telling me why I can't go, I don't let them tell me why I can and can't go either. It just is what it is. If it's not your property, I ain't trying to hear it. I do what I want to do. But Truth Teller is back, so let's let Truth Teller get on in. Go ahead, Truth.
I'm gonna just say, this is not a big of a deal as everybody's making it all out to be. I keep saying this, man. I don't know why we just don't take the hint from our Nigerian brothers and sisters. All I need is a camera and an idiot on their side. That's all I need. And I'm calling Mr. Crump, and I'm gonna go get my money. Why is there a problem? I don't understand. I just don't get it. I mean, they walk in the streets. All right, they hassling black people. Record it. It ain't hard. Y'all record everything else. Hell, hold that whole conversation with them. Why they hassling you? Hey, sir, I don't want any trouble. What you doing out here? Sir, this is a public area. I'm free to walk. No, you're not. Let me see your ID. Well, sir, I'm not legally supposed to give you my ID. What are you trying to do? Come on, man. Y'all got to stop, man. I don't know why we take this hands-off approach when it comes to these things, when it's so easy to take advantage of the situation. What's going on?
Well, some of those videos are coming out. People are doing exactly that because they're like, look, I got the National Guard in front of my front door right now, and I'm sitting on my front porch chilling, and they're bothering me. Look at this. Look at this shit right here. Look at this. Look it over here. Look over here. Look at here. Look at here. Like,
No, Cap. Sorry, HR. I don't mean just that. I don't mean just to show that I'm talking about evidence for a lawsuit.
Oh, I get you.
Yeah, that's what. Hey, listen, man. I'm not trying to convince. Listen. My lawsuit will convince the public, but I'm worried about my check. If enough of us get a check going, and this turns into a class action suit, that's gonna be the news.
Well, so
right?
to their credit, the National Guard and these federal agencies aren't openly harming anybody. Now they are harassing them. They're doing some intimidation through their presence patrols, but they aren't openly harming anybody. They haven't crossed that line just yet.
Right. Because they know better. They know if they do, it's game over. They're just there they're just there to change the subject temporarily. It's all it is. I mean, I don't know if y'all looked it up, but if you looked up the crime rate since she wanted to call the National Guard the last time 2 years ago, it's drastically declined in D.C. So it may not be where we like it to be, but if it was less than it was when we was, the last time we wanted to call National Guard in D.C., how does it justify calling them this time? Right? So, I mean, we can play these games and, there's drugs and, there's crime happening. There's crime happening in Kentucky. Niggas is giving free licenses to illegal immigrants. Where's the National Guard there? And it's the police and the county giving it to them. Ain't that a bigger problem?
Yeah,
the law is literally breaking the law.
Yeah, it's just,
I'm sorry. The state law enforcement is breaking federal law. That's what's happening there.
Truth teller, what news station did you see that story on?
All of them. It's happening in Kentucky. You might want to Google Kentucky and fake driver's license.
No, I know. I heard about it. I'm saying, did you see that on Fox 5, News 11?
I don't remember the news. The black lady was interviewed. I think she was on. I don't remember who she was on.
Because they
fired her because they were using her ID.
But I agree. Yeah, they was using her PIN to get into the computer. But I agree with you wholeheartedly. But back to what Jado be saying. Yo, they put these stories out here, and it's illa stuff going on. But we worried about this when what Truth Teller just told you about is way more. It was way more an issue.
Well, no, this is important too. It's just that we need to address it accordingly. So what we do is we flare with our arms in the air and don't do nothing. So okay, these niggas are stomping around in DC. Okay, are y'all planning to do something about it? No. It's just not right. Okay, well then, so if you ain't got no plans to do nothing about it, why are you complaining?
Okay, so part of the tactic, part of the strategy is to elicit a widespread black response. Because once that happens, now you got black people in the streets. Now you have a legitimate reason to really just open up.
Exactly.
That's
not how we should approach it. We should approach it through civil court.
part of this is just taking the bait too. Part of this is that part of this is where and in a lot of ways black people are playing this smart right now, at least to some extent, in the sense that they're not taking the open bait, right? Because the president's
There's
already
nothing to
there.
protest though. If they do something to somebody, that might change things.
Yeah.
That might change things. Which they might be planning. Which they might be planning that. We got to keep that in mind too.
If there's a flagrant incident, that's all you need. All you need is openly flagrant and triggering incident.
And body cameras won't be on. Body cameras won't be on. It'll be an area that didn't have a camera, so we don't know the full story. They said he did this, but there's no proof, and we did that. The normal stuff that they do. All I'm saying is we don't have to go down that path, man.
All right, I'm just saying, Rick.
Get your basic lawyer and file your civil suit.
I said this the other day. White supremacy, if anything, is predictable. Like, it's very predictable. Because they don't change the playbook.
No.
They don't change the major playbook. They might adjust the plays. They might throw some tricks in there, right? But remember that. Whenever you see a coach call a trick play, some coaches say that they're using those trick plays because they can't beat you straight up, right? They can't beat you running the ball or throwing the ball. They can't beat you with the regular plays. So they call it a trick play. That's what racism is. That's what white supremacy is, right? It's a bunch of, like, they used to be able to, just hey diddle diddle white supremacy straight up the middle, right? That's how they used to do it. Right? That's how that's serious. That's how they used to be able to do it. It was wide open, straight up the middle.
Right.
In your
but
face.
now
they have to come with a bunch of trick plays.
Well, I mean, they still have a bunch more to come, but they still have a bunch more to come. And I don't disagree. If I'm them, I would do that. I'm just saying we're not them, we're us. We need to come with a better strategy. And all I'm saying is for anybody who want to run scams and pretend that they're in, back in the day, you stand near a cabbie and when he drive by, you drop to the ground. A whole bunch of people used to do that in New York. Well, guess what? All I need is a video of one of these state troopers acting crazy on video and say they harmed me. And next thing you know, we got a lawsuit. And the game's over. They're going to do something else. They're going to flip the script and try something else.
But like, True Teller, you remember when they implemented that whole, when they had hired all of them cops?
Sorry, let me get this in real quick.
My fault.
I was going to say, white supremacy is not like a trick play, because a trick play is actually a legal play. White supremacy does a lot of illegal things. And yeah, at some point, if it's inconvenient for them, they will change their law, but they do a lot of illegal stuff. A trick play is still legal. It's just you don't expect it, but it is an illegal play. So I can't even compare white supremacy to that. It's a little bit different. Go ahead, Char.
Now, all I was just saying was, like, what Truth Teller is saying is 100%, but I haven't, like, they not wilding out. So I just looked at it like, they just putting more people on the street to make people sit down and chill out. Like, I remember they had hired like crazy amount of cops, and like every corner you would go on, it was a cop. Stuff calmed down a lot. You know what I mean? Everybody had to get more strategic. You just couldn't stand on the corner and sell drugs. You might have had to go up in the back block, or you know what I mean? They figured out just sell it off your phone and just go deliver it. You know what I mean? So things got a little bit more easier outside. So sometimes sometimes the presence does do something. Now, like True Teller said, they start knocking heads and all that. Have your camera out as soon as you seen them come up the block. Have your camera out, film it. Wake up after that knockout, get you a lawyer, and get your money.
I'm saying literally have your camera out at all times because it's unnecessary for them to be there. See, what you just described is a long-term plan of action. This is not a long-term play. They got 30 days. You think the hustler ain't going to take a vacation for 2 weeks and come back if it was really about getting rid of crime? It has nothing to do with crime. So basically, we should just have our cameras on every time we outside. It's literally what we should be doing. You have to show that it's a waste of time and a waste of money. Some Democrat is going to pick it up and say, this is what protecting the law looks like under Trump. It'll be some kind of madness ad that they'll put together because, stopping crime. This is not for stopping crime. This ain't even to show leadership. This is is nonsensical. He should, honestly, I do believe he's trying to change the subject from that whole situation he got with his own people. So he's trying to do this, white boy got beat up, and we gotta do something about it. And yeah, I'll do it for you. I'm the only president who's willing to do it for you. And his people will bite on that. But the problem is he only got 30 days. So how long it'll be? Hopefully they got short-term memories, which they do. They're squirrels. So at the end of the month, I'll be all good, and I'll keep it moving with these immigrants, because that's what he's gonna focus on next. I mean,
And I do
we
think,
just can't make it seem like he's doing some good for the community of DC, and he has no interest in that.
yeah, and I'm gonna say I think that this is where some of us gotta learn to get a little smart. You use your smart mouth in all kinds of situations. But if a random police officer is bothering you illegally, because he don't have no reason to make contact with you other than saying hi and bye, it's cool. You can be cordial. But if you ask me what I'm doing, this is where y'all need to take a take a play out of my book. But I've literally told police, I'm looking for your daughter. I'm horny. You know what I'm saying? Because why not? If you want to know where I'm going or what I'm doing, and ain't no crime going on, you don't suspect me of a crime, I'm looking for your daughter. That's what I'm doing. I'm horny. I'm trying to be your worst nightmare. I'm trying to find some random white cop's daughter so I can bend her over. That's what I'm doing. And you know what? They'll get mad and upset a little bit sometimes. You say, what you expect me to answer? What was your expectation? You think I got a nice thing to say to you when you asking me, what am I doing? Why are you as a policeman all up in my business? Like, don't you got better stuff to do? So don't ask me no question if you don't want no answer like that. You ask a stupid question, you're supposed to get a stupid answer. That's what I think, But be prepared to handle yourself. If I'm not saying don't do it if you can't handle what could come from something like that. But if you got your camera, what's the big deal? He know your camera on. He's had his body cam on. So what can it really do nowadays?
When my camera's on, don't accidentally brush me. You accidentally brushed me. You just broke my arm and 2 ribs. All I'm saying is I'm gonna get paid. And if my ribs got to get broken after our interaction,
Right.
justice was gonna have to happen, because I'm getting paid. It's just that simple. Don't even think about touching me, because if you touch me, I'm getting paid. That's all I needed. To feel your shirt sleeve brush against me. I'm on the floor rolling. I'm gonna land on my face on purpose. My arms are not even gonna raise up. I'm just face first into the ground.
I don't know what's wrong, but I at least got a hairline fracture. At least.
I at least got a hairline fracture. I'm getting paid. No, listen, man. You don't let me come up. I have no problems. No problems. Getting beat. My nose is twisted. I don't even look right no more. But I got my check. We got to learn to enforce the rules a little bit differently than sitting down protesting and sitting in front of niggas. That's just not going to work. Or tearing up stuff, or writing letters. Congress people, all of that is out the window, man. There's specific ways we could do things legally to accomplish what we need, and we should start using them.
Yeah, hit them pockets. That's when everybody start listening.
Yeah, and that's like hitting the pockets. There's literally nothing else that's as more effective that I can tell in society as hitting their pockets. So real talk, that should be the first way to go. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. That should be the first way to go. But my thing is, we got to get past letting them intimidate us at the end of the day. We got to learn a little something about what you need to know as a citizen, just because, you need to know it anyway. I've been much more effective when getting pulled over, when I learned what I had to really respond with and what I could respond with. Once I learned that, I just be making a nightmare for a cop. You pull me over for no reason, I be playing with people at this point. You know what I'm saying? So I turned them into my form of entertainment. Now, back in the day, it cost me money. I ended up, in bad situations because I didn't know what I could and couldn't do. But now that I know more about what I can and can't do, yeah, if you pull me over for no reason, I'm about to turn you into an event, because I plan to laugh at you and tell funny stories about you. You're literally about to become my entertainment. And that's real talk. Ain't no getting intimidated to do nothing anymore. That's over with. You
But
know.
like that's why I always emphasize to like cats younger than me, men and women, like, yo, learn how to play chess. You know what I'm saying? Because I used to be that little hot-headed black power dude, and I realized like everything ain't even worth a fight or argument. But I learned that once I started playing chess, understanding like, is this move going to be worth it? Well, what's this move going to get me? How far is this move going to get me? You know what I mean? It ain't even about being scared of anything. It's about being smart. The smart person is
Absolutely.
better than the tough guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You that's a great way to put it. Y'all. And if you don't know how to play chess, y'all learn it. That's what I'm gonna tell you. Because if you learn to play, it should help you adjust in life in general. Now
Sometimes you
I'm gonna
jump out
say
the
that.
window, it don't even be worth it.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna say the problem that I see in DC though, honestly though, when you have a quote unquote sanctuary city, you're inviting problems to your city. That's the way I look at it. Because the mayor is saying that we're going to break rules. So if you don't want a federal force to be involved in your city, I don't think you should be cool with your mayor saying we got a sanctuary city. How does that help you?
That sanctuary city thing I've never agreed with, because it's just absurd. I don't care what outside people's reasons are. There's a process to come into the country, and I know people complain, "Oh, it's a difficult process." I'm like, I'm shaking my head, like, so what? Well, because it's difficult, mean we should let them in? Like, why? What kind of gold, Midas gold touch they got? That should be the case. Like, they never actually make a really good case on why they should be allowed to stay. They say stuff like they're our labor, and when you look at it, they're really not. They say stuff like, it's hard where they came from, and you're like, so what? Like, what does that got to do with us? You done did stuff to their country, okay? What does that got to do with us? That they want to come over here? It's weird. Like, no, there's never a valid reason for letting illegals stay. It's always some weird. You have to feel like, listen, man. The law says they can't come like that. So what's the problem? Why sending them back and telling them, hey, do it the right way? What's the problem? Oh, well, the right way takes too long. What do you mean takes too long for who? Them or us? Because I don't care about their time frame. My time frame is what's important. I'm the one they trying to get to. And, and honestly, every now and again, I hear black people from America that speak this. But a lot of times when I hear black people that speak this, I find out that they got like an immigrant in their family, like a parent was an immigrant, like me. I got like a parent that was an immigrant, or they're actually immigrants and they're married to an immigrant. And it's weird. Like, why is it okay for these people to break the law and just be cool and be here? Listen, man, Pan-Africanism didn't work out. So I don't see, there's no favors we owe to anybody.
Exactly.
It didn't work out in our benefit. So we don't owe nobody nothing.
Well, I think this is a little too much about people just not doing their job in a proficient way. Now, I told y'all I work for one of them the big delivery company. I ain't gonna say which one, but if y'all figure it out, you figure it out. For a time period on that job, the boxes came in. I look at the box, I see the zip code, I put it on the conveyor belt. They responded with the zip code. That's all it is to me, man. Now, if I'm a person and I got to deal with immigrants, say I'm the police officer, I come across you, you're not an immigrant. I mean, you're not a legal immigrant. You're illegal. To me, this is just, we gonna process this the same way I looked at a zip code and say, this go on the conveyor belt that's yellow. Okay, this person is an illegal immigrant. My job is to put them out the country. Like, I don't understand feelings or none of this. We all get paid to do something. If I'm the meter maid and I'm walking down the street and your car is in a legal spot, I'm just gonna write you a ticket. Do I care about why you don't want me to write the No, I don't. I don't care nothing about none of that stuff at the end of the day. Ain't nothing personal, man. It's just work. Whatever happened to work being work? And just because somebody's a politician don't mean work ain't supposed to be work. You work for the people when you're a politician. The people did not tell you to do anything for people who are non-citizens. You're not even getting what the citizens want done. In every city, citizens got an issue with the leadership of their city because they haven't gotten certain things done. Do what we tell you to do first, and then you can worry about all that other stuff later. Okay? If I got a pothole, you think I want to hear something about and I'm being dead serious, y'all. If I got a pothole, do you think I really care anything about an issue with an illegal immigrant? Because the only thing you telling me is you doing anything for them is the reason you can't fix my pothole. Because you're going to tell me we can't afford it. Well, if you stop feeding people that ain't supposed to get fed here, I bet we could afford it. And what's more important to me, them staying alive on American food or my pothole being fixed? Which one y'all think is more important to me?
But Raj, it's like it's all manipulation and propaganda. I was watching the joint, and homeboy was walking around the people like they had the little signs and stuff in their yard, like they support the illegal immigrants. So he walked up to the door. He was talking to him like he was doing a survey. He was like, "Well, do you support it?" He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "All right." He called his man on the walkie-talkie. He came through with like 10 Mexicans, and they was walking up to the yard. People closing the door. So it's basically people just trying to look good for the internet, or just go out to these marches to feel morally superior. But they not going to support it like it need to be supported if they had to.
And my thing is real talk. I have actually driven down the street and cracked my rims. I've literally had to go pay for new ones because my rims got cracked. I ain't trying to hear nothing about some person who ain't even from America and what they need. I need my city to have my potholes fixed so I ain't out here cracking rims. That's what I'm concerned. And that's just me being realistic because that's the thing that affected me. My rim got cracked. I had to go find out where. Now, number one, I had to find out where do I get the new rim. Then I had to order the rim. Then I got to wait for the rim to come. Then actually get it repaired. I don't want to hear nothing about no illegal immigrant. I don't care. Just get out. It's that simple to me. Now, my thing, even in a place like D.C., I'm still not going to say that I want people harassed. I think if they just put out the ones they catch, we have enough people getting out where, people will be far more satisfied than what we are. You don't need to look for them. When they pop up, just get rid of them and stop giving them legal documentation. Like I heard about cities fighting for them to have driver's licenses. Why you need a driver's license if you ain't supposed to be here? That don't even make sense. Are you going to insure your car? If they hit me, how we going to sue them? They're an illegal immigrant. What they got to give? You ain't going to get nothing out of it. So why they need to be driving anywhere? If you're going to come over here be illegal, just be a ghost. And everything's cool. You know what I'm saying? Be a ghost. Go to your relative house, live in their attic. Don't ever do anything that's gonna cause some muss. And see, the thing is, they're paying for you at that point. You don't need to go get no job. Just stay in their attic and let your relative feed and clothe you. And you good. Don't that make sense? Well, it make better sense than what's going on right now.
That's how it used to be, though. And then you staying in the attic, and then they try to marry you off to an American, and now it's all good.
Yeah, right. Or have your kids here, and then your kids get to participate in society, but you don't. You just the attic people. Now, I'm not saying that sounds great, but that's called making a sacrifice for your children. What good parent wouldn't live in the attic for 30, 40 years because they want their kid to have a quote unquote shot at American opportunities? Wouldn't that just make you a good parent?
Well, Trump, he shut that loophole down.
Yeah, Trump is on that one. He is on that one.
he's like, nah, y'all ain't.
Where the parents from? What a dad? Trump would know the daddy. But I guess that is necessary because them folks will be taking up state money at the end of the day. Now, I will say now, them blaming it on black people though, that this is a little ridiculous. because I think in the making of this news story, there wasn't one black person involved. I'm just gonna say that right now. They never said the people involved were black. I don't believe any black person was involved with the making of the news story where this guy is claiming that he was getting carjacked and he kept his car. And bro, how you end up? I want to know from dude how you end up that bloody and you kept the car because you try to make it look like you got whooped, which means they took your car.
Well, it's been instances where I think it's been instances when people try to do robberies and they mess it up and they have to get moving. You know what I mean? Like you try to take it through a chain and it
I
just
totally
don't
get
go
that.
well, and you wind up leaving without the chain and all that.
But he's so bloody. Why wouldn't they have gotten the car? That's my own. I told you where you coming from. But my thing is like
he fought him off.
He too bloody, bro. He like the blood say he got whooped. So how he keep the car? If you got whooped, they can take the car easy. You can't be super whooped with blood all over your chest and your arms, down your pants and all that, and then say, well, no, but I was able to keep them from getting the car. Not the way it looked, bro. Look like they handle their business with you.
Well, some of that could be their blood too. You know, these white boys be doing that MMA stuff now.
Yeah, I'm just saying, bro. You can't look like the warrior who fought it all. You know, it's got to be a consistent match. That's all I'm saying. You can't be the warrior and then you know.
You look like the non-warrior.
It don't look like you won, dog. That's all I'm saying. It don't look like you won. So, yeah, if I can get that much blood out of a person, I'm taking the car. That's all I'm saying. If I can make you bleed like that, I'm taking the car. That's over with. Okay. But that narrative about this got something to do with father's home. I think this is just complete nonsense at the end of the day. Should Trump be doing this with the DC police? It's hard to say when you can't even get consistent crime numbers, y'all. That I am gonna say that. I wouldn't just say in general that Trump should be trying to put police powers in DC. Let DC deal with his own battles at the end of the day. And if DC wants a city that's free of crime, let DC handle that. Because it's all about budgets at the end of the day. And if the mayor can't handle it, just replace her. If the chief of police can't handle it, just replace her. I don't understand why that ain't the attitude of more people in the country. If your people who you put in charge can't get the job done, just get rid of them. They can't do it. Let it go. The leadership is trash. It is what it is. But I don't see myself fighting to make you look better. I don't think it's necessary. And I just think you're not good at the job. You had a crack at it. Now it's time for you to move on and do something else. Go write a book or something. Do something else politically. I don't know, but if you're not competent, just get out the way so a competent person can get in the chair. That's to me. That's the thing about politics. But I don't believe that politics should have. I think one term is enough in politics anyway. Because I don't think we should even have what we call a career politician. I don't think that's a good look for America to have a career politician. Get in a person who understands what it's like to be an American citizen, make your decision to make stuff better, get out the way, and I think everything will go much more smoothly. But y'all, I think I'm about done with this situation, so I'm gonna get in some last statements. H Rebels, you ain't said nothing in a while. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm there, but I don't have too much more to add other than if it's legit, I don't have any complaints. Don't look legit to me. That's all I'm saying.
You had to emphasize that, and I feel you. All right, Shark, any last words from you?
No, I definitely agree with H Rev that butt whipping did not look legit. But I have been getting some stories from people I know that live out there, and they're like, nah, it is wild. It is a little turned up. And, it ain't no way in the world that black woman going to give that seat up unless she got to. So that ain't happening.
You said a whole lot in a short period of time. But I think you kept it as real as possible. All right, y'all. Well, if you like this type of content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, y'all. We do this Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Chicago time. Okay, Chicago time, not DC time, not DC. Chicago time. And even if you're in the same time zone, not your time where you live, Chicago time. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Long live the habitual line steppers. Oh, you know what? My bad, y'all. My bad. I never even checked the Cash App today. I never checked, y'all. I do apologize. I had stuff going on, and I'm talking to multiple people. Bathroom got redone and whatnot, and I never checked the Cash App. I do apologize. Let me check that real quick so I can give people their proper credit. Okay, and look like we did get at least one. We did get at least one. And who did that come from? The real one today. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, this was the real. If there's only one Cash App, we got this from the realest one here, y'all. We got it from the realest one here. And we moving slow, y'all. I'm trying to see who did this. Man, go on, take credit in the chat, man, if you did it. Because we running slow. Uh-oh. And this is from y'all. This is from Sarah B, y'all. This is from Sarah B. And you know what? She did. She was the only one. And she dropped it off before the show even started. So shout out to Sarah B, who said just kicking it off this morning. Sarah, you a real one, okay? See, that's why I be defending you when they be talking crazy, Sarah. When they talk crazy, I be defending you. You the realest one here. You the realest one here. Shout out to Sarah B, y'all. Y'all ought to be ashamed of y'all selves. Y'all ought to be ashamed. But shout out to Sarah B. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. Thank you, Sarah. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.